And we're live.
You're walking around at like 255 pounds over there.
I don't recommend it for everybody. There's definitely downsides to it.
And it looks like you can still move pretty well. Stuff you were showing us today. It's like, holy shit, the way you're able to, I don't know if I say this on the air or not, but the way you're able to move your hips, that's quite impressive.
I sometimes do it in the mirror. Just I'd fuck me. I hope people get that reference.
I don't get the reference. I just thought it was funny.
Buffalo Bill, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah.
When he like tucked it or whatever. It's fucking the creepiest scene ever.
That's wild.
I use that and like it puts the lotion on the skin. Dude, I have to say it every time I put lotion on. I can't not say it. It's weird.
Every time you put lotion on.
Puts the lotion on the skin or else he gets the hose again. Or it's if you ever have a girlfriend and she asks you to put sunscreen on, say it while you do that. Or especially if it's somebody you don't know to freak them out.
I'm gonna do it next time I put sunscreen on. Let's go.
You gotta watch that movie, bro.
I've seen
Birth of a Nation and saw two crazy weird fucking movies you gotta watch.
Guys, okay, he's telling me to watch Birth of a Nation, not because it's a good historical film. It's a bad film, but it's good history. So that's why.
What do you do with your diet?
Man, it's a little all over the place. So I try to stick to dietary tenets. But you know, I have a kid and you know, I catch myself eating kid food a lot. I love carbs and I love chips. So
I like to eat.
I like to eat. When I do diet,
we're not like that at all.
So the tenets I do when I diet, I keep it pretty simple. I just try to do the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Not that that's scientific fact, but it's just easy math. I know it's not dangerous for me because I don't have any organ dysfunctions. And I know I don't probably need that much, but maybe I do when I'm in a calorie deficit. Science isn't firm on that yet. And if I shoot for that, even if I fall a little bit short, I know I'm good. So I do that. I try to drink a gallon of water a day. Once again, there's no science behind that, but I drink more fluids and it gives me a goal. I don't eat dehydrated carbs is the big one. So what I mean by that is I don't eat any carbs that I don't have to add water to first or don't come with their own natural water. So that's chips, cereals, crackers. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that it's very easy to overeat that stuff.
Quick question for you. I know this, but things like dried mangoes, that type of stuff, would you put that in that category?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So those things are great for people that need the calories. Like if you're on the trail or something, or there's a fucking apocalypse, like get as much of dried fruit as you can. But it's just, you're not going to sit down and eat 12 apples, right? But you can very easily eat 12 dehydrated apples. So it's just
the volume and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. So the water people don't get fat on white rice, man. I'm sorry. They just don't. White rice could be a part of the reason they're getting fat, but they eat too many oils, they eat too many sugars, they eat fatty foods. Yeah.
Have you eaten this way for like a long, I figure this is a good place to start just because you are in tremendous shape and you are over 250 pounds. And is this a way that you've eaten for a pretty long time now?
On and off, you know, I go through my phases. I don't never go off the deep end, but I also don't worry about eating as frequently as I used to. Like sometimes I won't eat until 1 or 2 p.m. Not on purpose. It's just that's when I'm not hungry. So I kind of eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
You know?
How long you've been doing that? Because I think, you know, for some people, especially when they're trying to get bigger, they're food focused. So they're almost thinking about eating all the time or they're eating super frequent. Do you think it's different now that you have this tissue on in terms of not having to be so food focused?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to get bigger, you need to eat more frequently.
Yes.
I mean, you just can't. I mean, just logistically, you can't get your calories in 2 meals a day or whatever. You know, if I had my ideal day, I normally wake up and I hydrate with some kind of, you know, electrolyte mix. I get sodium in early. And then an hour or 2 after I wake up, I'll have a couple hard-boiled eggs. So it's not like really a true fast, you know, and I have good energy. And people think that training fasted means you train with no glycogen. Like, man, unless I've been starving for days, I got so much glycogen from the day before. It's not like my training. And yeah, if I'm going to go out and run 15 miles, I'm going to eat breakfast, man. Yeah. But I can do an hour weight session and semi-fasted, and, you know, and then after that, you know, the anabolic window, I got it, but still,
don't miss it. Don't miss it.
You'll lose your gains that way.
It's an opportunity though, where you're anabolically primed to get in some carbohydrates and some protein.
Yeah.
So it's not like if you don't eat in the anabolic window, that's been completely debunked that you won't get gains. but I normally try to use that to get some high glycemic carbs and easy digested protein in. So I guess I still try to follow the anabolic window, even though I know I don't need to, just because it primes me to become more anabolic. It's like an overshoot. But, you know, the benefits of waiting a little bit, like your cortisol stays up. So you burn fat. If you don't eat right away after your workout, and you prolong it a little bit, your cortisol's up. And you're not going to just tear through your muscle. That's not how it works. You stay more alert because, you know, like Lance Armstrong, he got busted for taking cortisone. You know, the stuff that we avoid like the plague, because cortisone is a performance enhancing drug. So people, they don't take advantage of cortisone. It's like a natural super drug. In the morning, it makes you alert. After your workouts, it keeps you on point. You ever notice after a workout, the first thing you get, you're shaking, you get a little groggy with that insulin?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if after my workout, if I got to work right away and I want to stay on it, I won't eat right away because I want to stay more alert. And then your growth hormone stays a little higher. So there's arguments for both, you know?
I love that a lot of times post-workout, you're not even hungry.
No.
You're like, man, I think you want to get some food in, but you're like, I think I could ride this out for a little bit.
I always say take advantages of the periods you're not hungry, and then the periods when you are hungry, make sure you're surrounded by the right foods. You know?
Sometimes you're so hungry. Sometimes you're just so hungry, like you're just like, I don't understand what's happening today.
I keep my house stocked with like you know, low fat meat sticks, low fat cottage cheese, high protein milk, and Greek yogurt. Because even though it's not, I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night starving. It's not ideal, but you're not going to get fat on Greek yogurt. I mean, it's not. You know what I mean?
It's hard to. So that means in general, is it all the time that your fats are pretty moderate? I'm assuming for you, maybe somewhere within the, no. Okay.
Now, I like both.
Okay.
I feel the best when I'm on like that 30-30-40 split, 30 protein, 30 fat, 40 carbs. Okay. I like carbs, but I get lean fast when I go high fat, low carb. I get lean really fast.
Yeah.
Mark does interesting stuff with the sugar diet. I see it more as an opportunity to use it in special circumstances. Like I think it could revolutionize bodybuilding, like the pre-contest, like the last 3 weeks before a show when people come in flat. I never quite understood that. I would carry like raisins around with me pre-contest. I would be low carb, but that I eat a box of raisins or something and I just like blow up.
Yeah.
Because unless you're hypercaloric, you're not going to get fat. Like I don't understand why people cut their carbs so low before. And they feel like shit. They can't pose. They can't.
I think they feel like they have to.
Yeah, but you don't. Yeah. Like the shirt out would be perfect. Because like protein is like a long-term investment, right? It's not like you're going to eat a bunch of protein and tomorrow you're going to add 10 pounds of muscle. It's like something you should chronically keep high because it has a small payoff over time. Yeah. But if you keep your protein real low the last 3 weeks before a bodybuilding contest, especially if you're lifting weights and you're insulin sensitive, you're not going to lose any muscle, man.
I think there's a lot of people that are watching your Instagram and they're probably, you know, watching some of the various movements and they might, you know, be negative here and there. But I think there's a lot of people watching your stuff and they're like, man, I'd like to be able to move like that. And I'd like to be able to look like that. And that's one of the reasons why I started out by talking to you a little bit about nutrition right off the bat, is because I kind of felt like with the amount of movement that you do and the types of exercises that you do, I was like, I bet you he's going to say that he's a little bit casual with his nutrition. Yeah. And you're not, though, really. Like maybe compared to other people that are in fitness, maybe compared to some people that bodybuild, maybe your diet is a little casual because you're not maybe spending a crazy amount of time with like meal prep and you don't have the 6 meals and you don't have the 6-pack, you know, bag.
I would look a lot better if I did. Let's be honest.
Right. Right.
But would you though?
I think
you're
I
already
would.
like very, very lean.
I'm like 10%.
And that's very like, I mean, I know it's not like 5%, but it's like still very lean while performing. Because I think something to keep in mind, I'm sorry.
No, good.
Something to keep in mind is that when you do a lot of performance-based activity, it's hard to perform at a high level while being very lean. Yeah. If you're very, very lean and look the part, that probably usually means that you're not gonna, if you had to go grapple, you had to go sprint, do these things, you're gonna have pretty low output.
I always say this. You think that we don't have the scientific knowledge right now to make every NFL player look like a bodybuilder if we wanted to? There's a reason they don't, because, and they did studies like, and even in the military, when shit matters, like it matters, the optimal body fat range is somewhere between 8 and 12%. If you get below 8%, your performance in all areas starts to suffer. And
that's where I get fucked when I get there that low. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just not natural, man. And some people can naturally be leaner, but 12% is probably optimal performance for most people.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because you probably have dieted harder before, but you found a spot that allows you to perform, allows you to do the movements that you're doing, and it allows you to do so at a high level. So I think that that's a really important thing. And I love the fact that everything we've talked to you about today and some of the stuff I've seen on your Instagram, you always have like a method. You always have like, or methods.
So
You're
I call
like,
it mass
oh,
method, man.
here's 2 or 3 things that I like to do. I like to keep this way. And I think that's really great from an organizational standpoint and from the standpoint of being able to coach somebody. Does this come from your Army Ranger military background, or does it come, you know, from your youth? Like, where does this organization come from?
I think I'm lazy, man, and I don't like to waste effort. And so I think the solution there, but I also don't want to be a fucking slob or a loser. So I had to find a happy medium there where no wasted effort. So like we talked about, like the idea of a vector, like focusing your energy on the things that matter, like seeing the 20% of your work that'll make 80% of the benefit, and trying to get down to the essence of things. So, you know, I'm big on tenets over dogma. You know, it's good to have tenets. Picture tenets as like your guardrails to keep you from going off the rails. But a lot of us turn our guardrails into prison walls. And before we know it, we're sitting in this jail that we created ourselves through this dogma. Yeah.
That was Jay Cutler talked about that when he was on the show. He said like his childhood, he felt like he was in jail because of how hard he worked for his dad and how hard he worked for his family. But then I was like, interesting, because you chose bodybuilding, and then you put yourself in your own jail.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, my own jail was way worse.
Jay, he's one of the hardest working dudes in bodybuilding. So I used to bodybuild when I was in my early 20s, and that dude was at every show, traveling all the time. When he was in the height of his fame, he didn't need to be there. He's always gracious and would talk to everybody.
Always has time for everyone. How does that work out?
You know what's funny though, because I look for commonalities. We talk about this. I always look for commonalities. The most successful people always seem to make time for people, no matter how busy they are.
Mhm.
You know, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So, you know, I'm a big history buff. So, you know, Chester Nimitz, he was in command of the Pacific Fleet in World War II, and he's an admiral. And so a captain is in charge of a ship.
Mhm.
You know, he had over 1,100 captains under his command, and he knew every single one of their names. And every time one got in port, he'd invite him in his office and he'd sit down and have a talk with them.
Yeah.
Like, he was an amazing dude. If you're ever out in Texas, where I live, Fredericksburg, go to the World War II Museum. This dude's an amazing individual.
That's something I find that I am unfortunately kind of shitty with. I try to remember names, even some people that I've grappled with for years. I'm like, oh shit.
I'm really bad with
It's
names.
not-
Okay. Yeah, you're not.
I need
the
to
only
get
one.
better.
I also have a messy truck.
I'm really curious about this, man. You've been an athlete your whole life, right? At this point, do you think that there was a point in time where you were training and you realized you had to adjust something? Because one wonders what got you starting to think about training in this way.
My own struggles.
Yeah.
Things started falling apart when I was in my 30s, man.
Ah,
You know, things started to hurt more. They didn't recover as fast. You know, we don't realize it when we're in our 20s, we're like superhumans, dude. We can get drunk, get up, feel great. If we throw our back out, it's like, oh my God, what the fuck happened?
Feels
And then
a
you
few
get in your
days.
30s, and every other day in the shower, you're throwing your back out. And I got tired of being in pain, like little pains all the time.
Mhm.
And then training kids who were chronically injured and understand the importance to focus on little things.
Yeah.
And then training their parents who were a little bit older than me that were chronically injured, and having to find a way. It's like, there's a way.
Mhm.
You know, and just find a way. And these people come to me that guys have back issues, hip issues, knee issues. Their foot has been fused. They can't lift their arm over the head. It's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to find a way, man.
Mhm.
You know?
Now, to follow up on that, like, because you show, I think while we were in the gym, you mentioned you have over 3,500 different movements that you've already kind of put out there for people. What are the underlying concepts within some of your training, right? That lead to better movement, that lead to, I guess, less pain? What are some things that people need to be thinking about? Because like a lot of times when people think about strength training, they think about the big three, they think about the traditional things you do in the gym. What are you doing, or conceptually, what are the things you're doing that are different, that are helpful?
First of all, I don't want to come across as somebody that like harps on technique, you know, that breaks apart every little thing. But if you're having issues, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Like, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Break things down into small segments, do them slow enough, and then add complexity. And I always say, don't stack speed on top of dysfunction. So, or speed mass dysfunction is another thing I heard that I love. So like, do it slower. And then let the speed flow. I always say speed is like water. You can't push it. Create a pathway and the speed will just flow.
I remember sometimes someone who would hit a lift in the gym and it would be a PR, but it was like just all hell broke loose on this PR. And they're like, hey, what do you think? I'm like, we should definitely just take that as a victory and take that PR and not try another one, because we're going to add more weight to an already dysfunctional lift.
Yeah, exactly. And, one of the biggest gifts, about 6 years ago, I started working with a lot of power lifters, and I did not understand how complex the bench press was until, that's why I have a love-hate with the bench press. It's a beautiful exercise, incredibly valuable. Most people don't understand how complex it is and how little bitty things will mean the difference between a PR and not getting one.
And this is even though, like, because you were a football player, so you guys benched a lot, right?
Yeah.
So is it saying that, like, you just learned more from the way powerlifters were benching? Is that what you?
And these are raw powerlifters too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They have a slingshot, by the way. I love it. I use that thing for so many of my clients, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, they didn't teach us anything about, and to this day, they're getting a lot better. The amount of speed development that goes on in Division I level sports, the amount of technique instruction is just, it's astoundingly low. But it's getting a lot better.
I have a lot of things to work on when it comes to some of my sprinting, some of my mechanics and stuff. I really love the stuff you were showing us earlier in the gym, but I was messing around with some of the WEC propulsors yesterday, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. From all the years of benching, I can actually get my arms to fly. Like, my arms can go pretty good. So I'm like, if I could just get my damn legs to get on board with this whole thing, that'll be the kind of the next evolution. I think some of the stuff you showed me today, along with Nsima showing me the rope flow stuff, along with a couple other things, I think kind of blending that stuff together, obviously spending a lot of time running, I think things will start to click, and I think they'll start to come together.
Yeah, and I love the WEC pulsers. Started using those about 6 or 7 years ago, and people think of it as an arm swing. It's not an arm swing. It only swings because it's attached to a fulcrum. It's a downward. You're throwing your hands downwards.
Yeah.
Because we're bipedal creatures, and if we didn't do that, we'd be all over. I would say, you ever see somebody that's like been handcuffed by the cops and they try to run away? How goofy they fucking look.
Yeah.
It's because, you can't use your arms, can you?
Right.
So arms are incredibly important to sprinting.
Hey, and think about some of the stuff you showed us today in the gym, where you're rotating and you're trying to internally rotate on that back foot in the case of some of the movements we were doing today, and you're like, oh, press into it with your arm. And so I think that's obvious, right? Like, I'm twisting, I'm going to press with my arm, but what about my other arm?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's drive that elbow back, and or in whichever direction you feel is going to serve you the best for the type of position you're in. And you can see and there's some of these movements we're going to show in just a second. But I was doing some I guess like a side shuffle type thing in my gym, and I had some coaches. They were showing me, they're like, oh, your arms need to kind of move like this, and I'm kind of moving like a robot. But I also couldn't figure out which way to move my arms, just because I haven't done that in a long time.
It's a big teaching point for my kids. I spend a lot of time getting them to sync up their arms and legs.
Yeah, I'm like side shuffling, and then they show me, and they're like, once you get it, you get it. Once you get it, you get it. So they're like, okay, go back the other way, go back the other way. I mean, it took like 4 minutes. And I learned it. And it didn't look, all of a sudden out of nowhere, it'd look amazing.
Yeah.
But I was able to do it. I'm like, man, you just kind of don't really think about, I guess you don't need to sometimes when you're a kid and you go to just take off. If you're playing baseball and you're trying to steal, go from first to second, you don't really think about all the mechanics that are involved.
And honestly, they shouldn't.
Right.
You should get them to the point where I don't want a kid thinking about his mechanics when he's stealing a base.
Right. But if you look at the way, Ricky Henderson and some of these people would steal a base, like, they're going to throw an arm in a particular direction, and all you see is forward. All you see is a lot of stuff going forward, but so much stuff has to go backwards. Just like when you see like a boat out in the water and it's going really fucking fast, you see all that water shooting like up and out.
Yeah.
And
that's a great analogy. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You can tell a lot by how people are going forward by what is happening behind them.
And how did you start to incorporate more of this stuff into the gym? Because I think maybe for somebody going to a field or somebody practicing some of these things in sport is pretty common, but you started doing it with cables and with bands and all kinds of cool stuff.
Well, they look at this stuff and they think that's my whole workout, honestly. So that's part of the go section. But the flows and stuff, the flows take about 10 minutes. All those stuff you see me doing with the band, that's usually close to the beginning of my workout. Sorry about that. And it's kind of a prep. right? It's a prep, but it also like strengthens my core. It does get my upper body a little bit. It works on athletic patterning. I spend no more than 15 minutes, maybe twice a week doing that stuff. You know, as far as I am able to, based on my physical limitations, I do as much basic stuff as I can. I love push press. I love the back squat. I love conventional deadlift. I love that stuff. But there's other stuff out there. And if you can't do those things without pain, then there's other stuff you can do.
So actually that makes me wonder, like some of the things that we're showing right here, different ways of rowing, different ways of pressing with the Smith machine, etc. When you say like some of those things that you mentioned are like the meat of it, like you're doing a lot of heavy stuff here too. This is involved in that, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So some of the stuff is more in the go section. So that push up I was doing on that Smith machine, people hated on that. But like I have the barbell in the middle of my back. Like why would I put it in the middle of my back? Because it's forcing me into hyperextension. So what do I have to do to prevent that hyperextension?
Push against it.
I have to use my anterior chain.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that heavy because I want to strengthen my anterior chain.
Yeah.
And you know, people, they just don't fucking get it, man.
Okay.
And it's cool, but like, if you don't get it, ask. Yeah, if you have a question, don't ask me a fucking rhetorical question, because then I'll come at you. Then I'll spend 2 minutes to go on your feed, find something to make fun of you, and I'll fucking make fun of you. But if you ask me a genuine question, I will take my time for fucking free to explain it to you.
Yeah.
And then you can disagree with me, but make sure you understand it before you disagree with me.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no problem with disagreeing with with what someone's doing, but try to do so in a way that's going to move everybody forward.
We ask way too many rhetorical fucking questions.
These things, though, Judd, aren't like, I think you have a word that might be one of your favorite words, optimal, right? Like these things aren't optimal for certain aspects of muscle growth or so how does one rectify that? Especially if like, because you know, this is the thing. I know that optimal isn't your favorite word. I know how much you hate that word, which is why I used it. But I think it's used so much when people look at these things because they're like, well, if we were to row this way or curl this way or do this movement this way, it's going to lead to better, faster muscle growth over time. Why is that potentially flawed thinking?
So optimal is context dependent. There's nothing that's optimal for everything. So you can't say this isn't optimal without saying this isn't optimal for what. Okay. So those are optimal for things that say isolation exercises aren't optimal for. And a lot of times we forget that our ability to get really big, strong muscles depends on the weakest link in that chain. And if you hurt a random small muscle that you can't find an anatomy chart and don't even know that you have it, and it prevents you, and you have to go to a $300 an hour physical therapist, when you could have spent 10 minutes twice a week doing the suboptimal stuff, then that suboptimal stuff prevents you from doing your quote unquote optimal stuff. If that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
I think we have to always think about like strong for what?
Exactly.
You know, what do I need to be strong for? For some people, they might not really care that much about being strong for particular things. Like they might not have a sport and they might just want to be jacked. And maybe they don't care. Like somebody in the street could take them down or take them out or however you want to look at it. And I think that's fine. You can, you know, bodybuild your way. I think bodybuilders have shown that, you know, when you follow a lot of the things that a bodybuilder does, you end up looking like a bodybuilder. Those things are great ways to build up some hypertrophy. But I also think there's like a fun component to mixing things up, doing things a little differently. And again, maybe there's some people that don't think it's fun to mix things up and to try some other exercises. I like to challenge myself in some different ways. I think it's even just good for my brain.
I was going to say that, like a lot of reason I see here's the thing. And I love the gym more than anybody, right? Do you ever see dudes that only do gym workouts and they're like in their 60s and 70s? They've done the same thing in the same pattern, at the same reps, at the same tempo for 30 years, and their brain sucks. They stumble around, and then whatever the specific thing they're doing, they look okay at it. Yeah. But anything outside of that, they suck. Like it's for your brain. Like the best thing you can do is like dance and shit, honestly, because it's social, it's unpredictable. You have to learn new movement patterns. It's for your fucking brain. Sorry.
Yeah, I love exploring these different things, and it feels like it like sort of scratches an itch inside my head that I probably wouldn't be able to get to any other way. Like I love lifting, I love doing the power lifts, I love strength training, I love the bodybuilding stuff, I love getting a pump, but I also love the way that I feel after I did some of the movements that you showed me today, where I'm like, wow, that I feel taller. You know, because I'll get done with a lot of workouts, especially some of the stuff I've been doing more recently. I'm lifting a little heavier. I was able to push the belt squat pretty good the other day. I've been, you know, picking up stones and sandbags and all kinds of stuff. I just feel like I just continue to get shorter. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that was a great workout. And then I'm like stuck like this for a while.
Yeah.
I don't want all my workouts to make me feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And normally, you know, I would do that stuff for the first 10 minutes. And then I would go on to like a go section where it's like some kind of power exercise or a unilateral exercise, like a heavy dumbbell single arm press. And then I would spend like the last 20 minutes of workout doing conventional heavy bilateral stuff. And I walk away feeling big, strong, and pumped. And then my back doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Why do you think it is that, you know, we talked a little bit about having the toes pointed towards each other. And it seems like a core principle for you sometimes with some of the movements that you're doing in accordance to the particular result that you're trying to get. Why do you think that pointing the toes towards each other is effective? And then also why sometimes are some of the best athletes kind of got their toes pointed at each other when they're walking?
So external rotation is a very important piece to hip extension and athleticism. But in order to get the most out of external rotation, you have to achieve a good internally rotated position. So in order to throw a ball, you have to at one point in time externally rotate at least one hip.
This tornado pattern.
Yeah. So before that, if you can't internally rotate to get a pre-stretch or load or create pre-tension, then you have no compression in that coil. Our ability to internally rotate is extremely important. And also internally rotating the front leg allows for stability and compression. And if we're always externally rotated, we get power leakage, and we just do. You don't see any good athlete, like look up defensive backs when they're like in their stance or when they go to break down, they don't plant their front leg in front of them with their toe pointed fucking out. They just don't do it.
Not running around their heels either.
No, it's something. Now I'm not a Nazi when it comes to technique. The first couple steps of a sprint, how your foot comes off the ground behind you is variable. But when you reach top speed or close to it, find me one fast athlete whose heel is pointed in when they toe off behind their hip. They're always finish internally rotated. So internal rotation is huge. And like, I mean, pigeon-toed is more often or not a good thing.
And a lot of what you're doing in the gym though, because you're doing it with a weight is sort of like ingraining that into your body because you're doing it with resistance. Whereas I think, you know, maybe previously, like maybe years ago, and I'm sure there's other people who've done some of the things that you're doing, and we see functional patterns, and there's some people that do similar stuff. But this, to me, I think a lot of this is like new. I know that people have been doing it, like the Russians, and I understand like there's a lot of people who've been doing some of these things, but I don't think they've really been doing it in combination with the gym and with this resistance, because what you were showing me today, it's like, it sort of made my body feel like it all twisted one way. And I was like, I got to do the other side, you know, to get that other feedback. I don't know where else you would get this feedback. You know, we could go to a track and do a bunch of stuff, but for me, with my body being stuck the way that it is, I need my body to get like sort of pushed into a direction. So I almost need some of that. The resistance acts as like an assistance in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. It assists you get a larger range of motion and also gives you feedback. Like we were talking about the rope flows. As soon as I picked up that heavier rope, I started getting much better feedback. Yeah, so resistance is key for a lot of reasons, but it's key for tendon health too. So we want to load our tendons slowly through a large range of motion, possibly holding positions. You know, isometrics is good for tendon health. So yeah, load it for the feedback. Load it to help you achieve a better range of motion, and load it for tendon health.
Let me ask you this on this topic of you know, the feet. If somebody's walking around and then they realize, oh wow, the foot position they're talking about in terms of walking duck footed, that's where I am right now. That's my default. That's where I squat. That's what should they think about when they're training to potentially bring their feet more in? Because I mean, I'll attest this. Over the years when I was in my early 20s and I was really focused on powerlifting, I didn't realize, but I walked that way.
Yeah.
And then my feet slowly shifted back to like how it was when I was an athlete. Now my feet point forward, right?
Yeah.
So what is this potentially a process or a thought process for someone to bring themselves back to their baseline?
If you're talking specifically about lower body mechanics?
Yes, lower and upper. If there's anything that they can even do with the upper body that can help with that.
More unilateral work. Try doing a Bulgarian split squat with your toe pointed out, for one. Strengthen your glutes in general. A lot of the reason people walk duck-footed is because they have weak glutes. So they rely on their hamstrings and their external rotators for that hip extension. So their glutes just naturally rotate out, because when your toe is rotated in, your glute is at a stretched position. So it's weaker, but a strong glute in a weaker position, but it has more leverage to push. You know what I mean? So yeah, the simplest thing I could say, two things: unilateral, Bulgarian split squats, walking lunges, step. Everybody knows what it is.
But
and
be deliberate with like those walking lunges. You talk to us about that in the gym. You're very deliberate about how you set your feet when you do those.
My front foot is kind of pigeon toed, and it helps with my internal rotation. And it helps build compression in the stance. You look at any fighter, any shooter, their front foot is a little bit pigeon toed. Their back foot is pointed in also, and it forms compression and balance, and then they can move in any direction like that. So, and then the next thing I would say is focus on your gait. Like when you walk, when you go to toe off, it's called toe off for a reason. Push harder through your back, your big toe behind your hip. When you toe off, try to push for a little bit longer through it. And then make sure when you toe off that your heel and toe are in alignment facing the direction that you're walking. Simple fix. And trust me, if you do this for a while, your feet will get stronger. Your hips will start to open up. I do a lot of pigeon-toed walking too. I know it sounds weird, on purpose. So I will try to take big strides and get my toes pointed towards each other.
Just on a regular walk.
Yeah, and when my hips are feeling tight, or in the gym, if I feel like my internal rotation, I'll do some pigeon-toed walking. And just out in front of you with internal rotation, stretches your glutes out.
I'm sure it's debatable, like everything kind of is, but I think that most of the time when we're walking, I think everyone has the same intent. I think everyone's trying to get to their big toe. And that external rotation you're talking about with the feet, ducking out, their feet pointing outward, it's easier for someone to kind of get to their big toe with their foot out like that. And so what you're saying is, you mentioned in the gym, you're trying to like land on that edge. You're landing on the outside edge of your foot, kind of the fattest, chubbiest part of your foot. You're because that you can strike the ground pretty good.
Look at really fast people. They don't land flat-footed. They actually land on their outside edge and then they evert to their big toe. They don't slap down like that. So it's a natural movement pattern to evert. So that's why we need to strengthen our inversion muscles of our calf, because it adds more resistance to that forced eversion.
There's a video I just sent Ryan that I think might show this a bit for, only showed it for a second. But the way you were lunging in that first part of the video, that front foot was kind of facing towards the inside. That back foot had forward intent.
Also, people try to lunge in a straight line, like in a narrow, like they're lunging on a 2x4. Lunge under your shoulders, stack your weight over your lead leg, and plant your front foot under that shoulder, and you'll instantly feel better. And it'll work your adductors more too.
Yeah, right there. It looks like you're almost lunging like forward, but to the side a little bit. Yeah, trying to get.
I'm a big advocate of skipping too. I skip every day almost.
Yeah, how do you think, or what do you think about some of these movements that you're doing, where you're doing it looks like you're doing like A skips and B skips and C skips, and looks like you're kind of mixing a lot of different things in. I'll see where you throw your leg out. How long have you been doing these things for, and what do you think they've done for you?
So I got into them about 12 to 15 years ago when I started being a speed coach. That's the place a minority owner of. So I've trained kids. It's called Acceleration. I train them mainly for speed. So I started to really dive into the speed drills then. And then I had to get good at them because I had to demonstrate them and teach them. And then it just wired it in, and I started feeling a lot better. I started getting faster, and my hips felt better. And then they started to get fun. And track athletes know how crucial skips can be because it mimics the movement patterns and it's submaximal. So just like, fighters know it's important to practice submaximal technique. Powerlifters know it's important to practice their submaximal. All this is practicing submaximal sprinting.
This has to be amazing for longevity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can combine this with those rope flows we're doing, man. Like, oh my God, like two basic things you can do every day.
I mean, your brain, your central nervous system, like all the things that we need. And then a lot of times you're doing these things outside. The rhythm of it. I mean, you mentioned earlier, like dancing. Like, yeah, it would be great if a lot of us would dance, but I think a lot of us might feel too embarrassed to just go randomly dance. And so then you do stuff like this, or you got the rope, right? You got the rope flow is kind of like you're dancing, but at least you have something in between you and the movements that you're doing to not be as embarrassed about some of what you're doing.
I mean, jumping rope is fantastic too.
Yeah.
I believe these they're not better or worse. I mean, I guess if I had to say these would be better, but I love jumping rope, man. It's just fantastic.
The coordination of this though too, doing something like 1, 2, 3, or or doing like same side, like 1-1-1 and then 2-2-2, right? Like, and just
Yeah, I don't show most. So with my better athletes, I'll do those single leg cycles and I'll do them in like doubles and triples. So it's like boom, boom, then change tempo, boom, boom, because tempo is important for sprinting, and they have to get used to it and have the ability to change tempo.
Yeah,
tempo is very important.
What do you think about Olympic lifting when the feet, the feet tend to come pointed out quite a bit? Do you like? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I mean, it's doing it to achieve a task, which is very important. So gait it's not something Olympic lifts are trying to accomplish. Just building power, and you need stability. There's times when your feet need to be pointed away from each other. I'm not denying that. Sometimes with a heavy deadlift, I do frog stance deadlifts where my toes are pointed away from. I'm not always internally rotated. So yeah, I think it's just fine because that's not, you remember the people like when you front squat and people like cross their arms and be like, don't do that because you're going to get like kyphosis, you're going to get rounded. I'm like, no, you're going to get rounded from sitting at a computer all day, every day.
Right.
You're not going to get rounded by internally rotating for total of 10 seconds once a week. And if you can put the bar in a better position, close to your center of mass by doing this, and it causes less elbow and wrist pain, hold the bar however is comfortable. Because the point of this exercise isn't to work on your mobility. Now, if you're an Olympic lifter, yeah, you're going to have to start doing your front squats from the rack position. But if you're just a dude that wants the benefits from a front squat and this hurts you, then don't do that. It's people that just they don't understand what fucking matters. Like, you know what I mean? So I guess your question is like in the Olympic lifts, internally rotation doesn't matter.
Yeah. So with a sprinter or something like that, maybe that's not the main concern when you're doing that particular exercise. It's like, let's figure out how you could do the exercise, the clean as proficiently as possible. And we're just not going to really worry a ton that if your toes go pointing outward.
Now, when you watch those people come out of the hole, they do internally rotate their femurs. And it looks like valgus collapse. Like their knees will go from outside their toes to inside. They're not collapsing. They're internally rotating because it creates more power. It lines up the forces in it and it helps them come out of the hole.
Yeah, one of the strongest squatters of all time was a guy named Brent Meixel. He squatted over 1,100 pounds, and he used to use this like looping technique when he would squat, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's going to die." But that was him expressing some of that internal rotation. He would actually squat pretty wide. It wasn't crazy wide. His toes would be pointed out a little bit, not a lot. And then as he would come out of the hole, he would do it on purpose. It was like a whip.
But he's not collapsing.
No. Some people are like, you're collapsing because your hips are weak. It's like, well, his hips are obviously not weak.
Nah, it helps you use your adductors too. So I like to push my knees out on the way down in a squat just so I can pre-stretch my adductors, and it shortens the moment arm too because I'm a little bit on the tall side. And then on the way up, I will internally rotate. So adductors, a lot of them also help with internal rotation.
It's important for me to mention that I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
So one of my friends said, "Hey, try this with ChatGPT." He said, "Ask ChatGPT if you're fat." And so I asked ChatGPT if I'm fat, and it said no by most standards, and it like gave a body fat percentage, and like Mark Bell stands at 6'3". I was like,
I was about to say,
I was like, awesome, dude. I'm 6'3".
Have you gotten shorter as you've gotten older?
I think so. I think I'm like 5'10" or something.
It's pretty common, man.
It's just getting worse.
You're 6 feet. You're
all
probably,
right. I'll just take the compliment.
Life literally beats you down, man. It's funny. Like makes you shorter.
Judd, I think you've mentioned something about not stacking speed on top of dysfunction, but you mentioned something else in terms of like load and dysfunction, I believe, unless I'm incorrect.
You have to fresh my. I talk out my ass sometimes.
Well, I don't think this is talking out your ass because, like, I think some people think that you should be able to put anyone underneath a back squat if it's light enough, and they should be able to handle it. But there are some people out there that when it does come to loading the body in that axial way, it just doesn't. Every time they get out of underneath, they just feel worse, right?
Yeah. And so here's my take on the barbell and the back squat. The barbell is an ingenious invention, but it's not natural. There's nothing natural about it. It's easy to grab. It's straight and keep it really close to your body. It rotates. The barbell isn't just a stick. Like its ends rotate, so the plates will spin.
Yeah.
It's an ingenious invention so that we can unnaturally lift very heavy weight.
Yeah.
The barbell isn't natural. All right. So back squatting is an invention. It was invented in like the 1930s. Before that, nobody back squatted the way we do now. It used to be called a flat foot squat because people used to squat on their toes. I can't remember the dude's name. Milo something invented the modern back squat, they think. Because before that you had to like pick it up. So he's famous for being able to pick up like
the Steinborn.
Milo Steinborn invented that. So the back squat is a relatively new thing. So people that worship it, just know you're worshiping a new god.
Okay.
But squatting is not.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of different ways you can squat. And I probably don't have my young athletes get under a barbell for the first 2 years. Goblet squatting, kettlebell squatting, hinging, like the barbells and the back squat is a performance exercise.
Mhm.
Which is great, but it's not appropriate for everybody at all times. I'm going to have a 90-year-old squat. I'm not going to have a 90-year-old do a barbell back squat. I'm just not, because a lot of things have to have mobility. You have to kind of hyperextend your lower back a little bit to do it properly, honestly. You know, you have to be able to lock your lats in place. A lot of people, but also we need to be able to get strong without the ability to lock our lats into place.
Yeah.
I love the back squat. Just like I love the bench press. It's a performance exercise.
Yeah. When I went around the country and did seminars and stuff like that, I just saw so much dysfunction when I was teaching people squatting. And what surprised me was most of the dysfunction came from the upper body. Like I couldn't even believe it. It wasn't necessarily just like lack of mobility through the shoulders and stuff like that. There was just people didn't know where to put the bar. And their upper body would be the problem as they came up out of the hole. Their upper body would round over. And it's just stuff I never really thought about because I started lifting at such a young age and didn't end up with some of those same issues. But it was mind-boggling. And it was so difficult just to try to bring someone up to speed with like a decent proficient squat for a guy that weighs 200 pounds with like 2 plates.
Yeah.
Like it was just, and it's no knock against the strength or anything like that. It's just that that skill was going to take a pretty long time for most people to learn.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I love the Zercher squat, because it's just adaptable. And it's honestly easier to learn than the back squat.
You're always doing crazy Zercher squats too.
I mean, and you can do them pretty heavy. And people think, oh, you're limited by your biceps or you're going to tear a bicep. They don't understand fucking physics. Like a bicep curl is much harder on your bicep than a 400-pound Zercher squat. I promise you. You know what I mean? Bench press is much harder on your biceps than a heavy Zercher squat.
You just grin and bear it, or do you put something on the bar?
So I'm kind of against putting stuff on the bar, and it's for this reason, especially if it's thick like a pad, because it moves the bar, the center of the mass of the bar, further down the fulcrum away from your bicep, and it puts your bicep under more tension. It's more comfortable, but it's more dangerous. Now, if you're not Zercher squatting 300 pounds, it's not that big a deal. But if you get up in weight and all of a sudden that barbell moves that far from the fulcrum, it like will quadruple the amount of force your bicep experience.
Yeah, this video you're using 2 plates?
Yeah.
I think I've seen you do something similar with like 3 plates.
Yeah.
You're a crazy person.
I mean, I know you're not supposed to twist with load, but sometimes in life you twist with load.
Are some of those movements, or some of those the ones you've gotten the most
oh yeah.
People telling you not to do it?
Yep. But my back is fine. So you know,
and you enjoy it, right? You like doing these things. You like challenging yourself this way.
Yep. Some of this I'm just experimenting with stuff too. And
have you found that having other people do, let's say, a movement like that, a twisting Zercher, obviously you would pick a more appropriate weight. If the 3 of us were working out, you would watch us and then you'd say, okay, let's select a weight that's going to be.
And I would start with like a dumbbell, because one of the reasons that is so dangerous, but also works so well, is I create rotational momentum that I have to overcome. So people forget when I start to spin the barbell, it creates inertia, or momentum rather, and I have to overcome that moment of inertia. So I would start with a dumbbell because there's much less momentum and it's safer that way. Yeah.
So with that Zercher rotational step up, let's babysit him. What would you call it?
I don't know. I suck at naming stuff.
Okay. So for that movement, what would you say you're getting from that? Because there's multiple things going on. So when someone's looking at that, what's happening?
So I am opening up away from my lead leg. So you gotta focus on what's not moving. So my front foot is not moving. So when my torso moves away from it, that's the same as external rotation. So it means when I come out of that hole, then I'm having to stabilize that external rotation to bring my torso back to neutral. So it's the forces that my feet have to experience, and from there up are affected by the momentum created by the barbell. And it's multi-vector, right? So there's 2 or more vectors of force that you're having to. So life is multi-fucking vector.
Yes.
You know, there's different planes. Like look them up. I mean, and life happens multiplanar.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what it is.
I think I saw a whole video on that one time.
Huh?
That was one of your videos.
Yeah.
Talking about all the different movements.
I love the safety bar for most people, man. I squat with safety. So here's a story, like talk about shoulder. So My left shoulder, I can't externally rotate it that well. For scar tissue is encapsulated a little bit. And I'd lost some external rotation years ago, and I was still back squatting because I love back squats. But because of that, I wasn't able to put the bar as low as I wanted to. So it sat kind of on my C7. After a while, I got this knot there. I fucking ignored it. And then I got a bad pain behind my shoulder blade. And as I was in my mid-30s, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. And what that pain was, I thought it was a muscle strain. It was my nerve dying. And I wasn't experiencing the pain where the injury was, which was on my C7.
Yeah.
I was experiencing the nerve pain distally from that because my nerve was dying. And then overnight, I went from benching like 400 pounds. I couldn't bench 135 pounds. And it's still not completely back, but it took 2 years for that nerve to regenerate. So things
what helped it out?
Stem. So I couldn't activate it through my central nervous system. So I had to do it externally. So I would stem treatment, my tricep and my pec.
Yeah.
High rep. I couldn't activate the high threshold motor unit. So I had to activate what I could. I took was it alpha GPC or some kind of supplement?
Yeah, those things help. Yeah.
I took a little bit of growth hormone because I heard it helped, but I couldn't afford it so I took 1 month at 1 IU a day.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it did, but it just took a year. It took 2 years, and still it's maybe 80% back.
That's crazy. I mean, I think that's some of the conjecture against lifting weights. It's like you wear down one thing, and then you're like, shit. Like we've heard this story many times. Sometimes somebody, they can no longer flat bench. And then they're like, all I can do is like incline bench. And then they're like, all I can do is incline dumbbell bench.
You just get smaller and smaller things they can actually do.
Man. But if we have the knowledge and we have information, like with the stuff that you do now, unfortunately, you probably didn't know all these different things then. We put ourselves through the ringer, but I hope that the new generation of people coming along, I hope they are watching people twirling around a mace. And I hope they do get an opportunity. I hope they not even get an opportunity. I hope they just go out there and do it. So start doing some of the stuff.
Yeah, man, try it out. Try new things, maybe. I don't know. So like you brought a bench press. Like, no, you can't do a flat bench press anymore. But let's pause there for a second. You can't do a flat bench press like you used to. But if you used a different bar that allowed you to grab the bar different, if you stopped an inch above your chest, God forbid we don't touch our chest when we bench press.
Wrong though, Judd.
Even though we're not competitive power lifters. If you use a variable resistance, so it's lighter at the bottom. If you go slower, maybe you can't do a flat bench press like you used to, but you can accommodate it. And if not, then you can't. But like, so, it hurts a little bit when I go all the way to my chest. So I put like those fat grips.
Yeah.
I'll put one of those on the bar and it buys me a ½ inch and that's comfortable for me. You know what I mean? Or Sornex makes a transformer bar. So I can grab it like at a nice 45-degree angle. And I like that. And I can still do bench press. It kind of hurts a little bit though.
Let me ask you this. And this is probably going to be one of the most basic questions that you've heard before, but with everything that you know now, and let's say that you've worked with so many kids, you're reforming your young Judd's athletic career from the age of 10, right? What are the capacities? What are the things that like over time you're learning how to do? Because a lot of people are just like, go in the gym, lift, eat, train your sport. You're probably going to be good, right? What are some things you would add to the mix, types of movement potentially? I know it's a lot, but conceptually.
Well, conceptually, there's more to life and physical performance than big muscles.
Yeah.
Right. And force matters, but how much force our muscles can generate is just one piece of the equation. How our muscles work together, like being able to turn off the muscles that inhibit that motion at the same time. So coordination, in other words, it's the force that you can express, not the force your muscles can produce.
Yes.
So that is very important. Strong people individually, muscle wise, aren't always strong people systemically because they can't express the force. So I wish I would have told myself that. But also, don't hate on bodybuilders. Everybody works out for different reasons, man. And they say bodybuilders aren't athletes. Not biased, technically, no, I guess they're not. But I respect the shit out of them. They work very hard. And they say like, it's just for show. It's like, well, having more muscle mass is better for you metabolically to an extent. Right. It's not healthy to walk around probably in my body weight, but 300 pounds is not healthy for you, but whatever. And it gives them more confidence. They walk into a room, they look better in clothes, they feel better about themselves. So go fuck yourself. Don't be so judgmental. Like you might be able to do this crazy, cool exercise and okay, good for you.
Yeah.
So don't learn not to be so judgmental. And then, also load is only one of the tools that we use to generate force. Right. We don't need, there's other options other than just putting more weight on the bar. So our muscles don't know what is causing that tension. It's actually tension. Tension is rope force, basically. The muscles don't know what's causing that tension. It could be a barbell, it could be a pit bull, it could be your little sister. They just know tension. So there's a lot of different ways to create tension. We can create tension with speed. We can create tension with moment arm. We can, create more acceleration by having a longer lever arm. So there's more answers than just more weight, basically.
I've seen, Joe Rogan talking about rotation, and he's like, I don't know why I don't have more, rotation in my training. But, sometimes because we like to do so many things, I think maybe Joe Rogan wasn't realizing all the striking and stuff that he does, which is,
yeah.
Have you played around with it, messing around with any striking because of some of what it can potentially help a lot with rotation, coordination, being able to kick the legs and all that kind of stuff?
I hit a heavy bag. First of all, you got to be careful if you're not a trained boxer and you're not going to wrap your hands. Like, don't try to hit a heavy bag hard. I do it more for cardio and just practice because it's fun. Every time I post one, the fighters tear me up. I'm like, yeah, man.
What are you doing?
If I saw you doing like speed drills, I'd tear you up too. Yeah. But, congratulations. But like all you're doing is creating a barrier. Now people don't feel comfortable to hit a heavy bag because they feel like they're going to be embarrassed. Mm-hmm. I like to hit a heavy bag. It's fun. But it's just for conditioning and play around. Like, I'm not an expert striker by any means.
It just feels good to get some of those movements in where you're getting some of that rotation. With some of the rotations and some of the stuff that you're doing, have you noticed a lot of improvement for yourself with your own movement, and then the people that you work with? Have you noticed some tremendous improvement, or is it just they're able to express more force and things like that?
A vast improvement in their mobility, their athleticism, things like there's massive carryover in movements. I love Landmine University. I love David Weck. They're all kind of out there, but cool. Like the geniuses always are kind of weird. Mm-hmm. People think you're weird, Mark, but
what?
But it's like man, if you're going to fucking change the world, you got to be a little weird sometimes.
Yeah.
Normal people are boring and they don't change anything. Man, I love that stuff. Coiling, especially when you're sprinting. Like I love hitting a tire with a sledgehammer. You ever watch like kids these days try to use a fucking sledgehammer? Like I don't want to hate on this generation, but Jesus Christ, man.
There's two things that popped in my head when you're talking about like that coiling and stuff, and just in concert with everything else we've been talking about. One of the greatest pigeon-toed athletes of all time, everybody always thinks about Michael Jordan, but Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, his feet were dead on straight, and he's throwing bombs.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of a real life Forrest Gump. And this is no hate on Mike Tyson, because everybody thinks that dude is so stupid. Dude's a freaking genius, man.
Oh my God.
He's like, he's one of the guys that could see through shit. And he was actually a student of boxing, man. He was a smart dude. There will never be another boxer like Mike Tyson.
No. I don't think he gets enough credit. He gets credit for being intimidating and for being a knockout artist and stuff like that. But I don't think he gets enough credit for his athleticism.
His quote, "Everybody's a plan until they get punched in the nose."
Oh yeah.
Man, that's one of the best quotes of all time.
What's interesting about his positioning with his feet is he's throwing punches so hard that that style of punching throws you off balance.
You look at all of that. His arms are big, but that's not why he punches hard.
Right.
He coils and he uses his core. Everything is hip driven with that guy.
Look how much like he's literally boom. You know what I mean?
He's jumping into.
He's never in the middle.
And he's never out of balance either. All the best athletes have the best balance.
So I wonder if you can find a shot of this.
Look at him change levels, man.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a little bit harder to find, but John Daly, the golfer, who's always just known as being hammered when he played golf and stuff like that. He unfortunately had a lot of issues with alcohol. But John Daly, his rotation is second to none. I don't think anyone could rotate any further than what he was able to do when he was driving a golf ball, whatever it is, 400, 300 something yards. But yeah, he's able to just like bring that thing up and back, and it swings around his whole body.
That's beautiful.
With his head just dead center in the middle the whole time. Kind of like what you were talking about, where you were saying like stay on a side longer.
Yeah.
Rather than just like throw your head over foot, which is a good practice sometimes for some things. Sometimes it's good to kind of stay on one side for longer, much like you would swing a baseball bat. A baseball player, they're looking at the ball the whole time. They're almost, kind of looking downward, and they're staying on a side. They don't like swing and move their whole body the other way.
Fundamental physics. Everything in a gun, everything in a gun can be exactly the same. You can have the same bullet, the same gun. If you make that barrel longer, the bullet has more velocity and it goes further just by making the barrel longer. Why? Because the powder can push on the bullet for longer. So that goes into range of motion. Never sacrifice range of motion if you're in a sport like this, because everybody's like, oh, with all your flows, I bet you can hit a golf ball a mile. No, I can't, man. I can hit a golf ball like 200 yards or some shit. Little skinny people who can get great range of motion are going to fucking drill a golf ball because he can apply force on that club head for longer than I can.
It's incredible. Somebody sent this to me like a few weeks ago, and I just can't stop watching it because I'm like,
look how he keeps that front arm straight.
Wow.
And then when he brings it down, he creates as much club.
It's this beautiful thing.
Oh, he barely bends that front arm at all, man. Like when he strikes it, and it's a trebuchet. Like look up trebuchet. Everything in our body, this is our body is so cool. It's a trebuchet. It's a French, it's a French term.
Is that like a cannon?
It's a catapult, but it's a cool catapult.
Oh yeah.
So you always say swing a short lever and strike with a long lever.
Okay.
So that's why our knees bend is so important to come up over our hips. Because see, there's two fulcrums there. Where catapult, like let's say you cut that rope off of it, it's limited by how much speed that first fulcrum can generate. But with you add that extra fulcrum where that rock is hanging from, you create two fulcrums so you can swing a shorter lever, generate more force, and then use that stored energy to strike with a longer lever arm. So always swing a short lever, strike with a long lever. So that's why I see these people swing with a sledgehammer like this. No, man, you swing a short lever, you strike with a long lever.
Yeah.
You don't see people punching like this, right? You swing a short lever, strike with a long lever. So that's a tenet. It's a fundamental thing.
What was the word you used again?
What's that?
The French word?
That's a trebuchet.
Trebuchet?
The fucking French. The Chinese invented it. The French didn't invent that shit. Chinese invented it in like 400 BC. The French, I don't know how the French got to name it. Fucking French, man.
That's cool, man.
We were talking about this too, but I think it's a very powerful aspect about the rotational movements you do is that you're able to get that rotation on both sides of the body. Like, I think it was one thing that I see so much. It's a comment that I always get. People are just like, well, why don't you just lift and play a sport? Like the sport will give you the rotation. And it's like, yes, to the side that instinctively you want to continue to go down, which is going to be your dominant side. It's rare that an athlete purposefully works on non-dominant side rotation.
Yeah.
I think we neglect how, like, now let's take that out of the context of the athlete who wants to be a really good athlete and just the human who wants to move really well. Yeah. Having only dominant side rotation is not a good place to be.
No. Well, it creates imbalances too. Everything's linked to something, man. Yeah. Something's got to, that's why I'm not a big fan of taping ankles and bracing knees. Like, okay, something's going to take that force. It might protect your ankle, but you'll blow out an ACL. Like everything has a downstream effect, man. And if you can't rotate one way, something's got to, you got to get the job done one way or another. Yeah. Right. And if you can't rotate and use the system systematically, like it was designed to do, you got to find another way to do it. And sometimes that way is going to hurt you.
And honestly, another thing that I think people should think about when they watch your movements is because someone would say, well, a squat is a kinetic chain movement too. Like you get yourself in this strong structure and you push from the feet through the hips all the way through the bar.
Absolutely.
You come back down, right?
Great.
But it's in one plane. But when you watch the movements you're doing, you're watching how the feet are pivoting, how that force is distributed through the feet, hips, arms, right? You're getting full rotational kinetic chain, which links itself to the way you move much better than just a squat would or just a deadlift would. Not that they're not good, but like it's more linked to the way that you walk and move through space.
Squats are great for general mobility, hip mobility. They're great for max strength output. They're great for your CNS. Bilateral squats are great. But like I said, there's nothing that's optimal at everything. To be good at those things, you got to give up some things. So you got to ask yourself, what am I giving up by doing this? What am I giving up by staying on my heels all the time? What is this stability? What do I have to give up to get the stability? And there's answers to that. I could answer it, fucking figure it out. I don't know. Sometimes, you learn better when you teach yourself.
Yeah.
We want everybody to just feed us information. I don't know. I want to stay on Instagram a lot. Fucking think about it. Just, all right, you asked me this rhetorical question. I could answer it, but how about you just fucking think about it? We don't think about shit. We're fucking mentally lazy. Have you ever read that book, Thinking Fast and Slow?
Yeah.
Like, we're mentally fucking lazy, dude. Anyway.
Some rants here and there.
Yeah, I love to complain.
Some of the comments I see on your Instagram, I've seen some stuff on Nsima's. Usually not on mine because people have been following what I've been doing for a pretty long time. But what I see a lot of times is, oh, well, you didn't build the muscle that way. you know, and they're kind of mad at like all three of us really that we sort of turned our back on, you know, the standard, you know, incline bench press and getting a pump and
I hate that people feel that way because
regular
I
squats.
love that stuff. I hate it. People feel that way.
Yeah,
I love it.
We all love it. We all owe it like some respect. Like we all enjoyed it for a long time, and we all still enjoy it. It's just that we've added some new wrinkles and some new things to what we were doing previously. And sometimes we get super excited and fired up about something, maybe like rope flow, and it sort of takes over. Or maybe we're trying to juggle around a kettlebell or do kettlebell exercises because we have a particular guest. Then we're all pumped up, and so the amount of percentage of time that we devote to that kettlebell or rope goes from 0% to like 30. Or maybe we're just sharing it a little bit more online because it's something new and different that we're actually doing that we think will actually benefit other people. But you're still lifting for hypertrophy. You're still
probably more than I should, honestly, because I love it so much.
Because it's just fun.
It's fun. I love get a pump. I like big muscles as much as the next guy. I used to bodybuild. I love bodybuilding. I still do. I don't think it's a sport, but it's one of the most impressive things people do with a commitment. You know what I mean? It's a beauty pageant, but it's a very admirable beauty pageant. And then I love dude, I know so much about bodybuilding history. I love Ronnie Coleman and, you know, like Tom Platz. I love all those dudes, man. Yeah. So just because you like something new and you want to try something new, like you said, emphasize something new for a while. You know, Mike Israeliti drives me crazy because he hates on the kettlebell, man. I love the fucking kettlebell, dude. Yeah, it's not going to get your muscles as big or strong, but there's other things out there. Being able to use your body, rotate, balance, power. Kettlebell is one of the best things ever invented.
Yeah, there's these laws of hypertrophy. I talk about it quite a bit. There's like these rules, right? But then people get upset because you're outside of that box or outside of some of those rules. And it's like, well, it's not a bunch of bad shit that happens when you're outside of some of those rules of hypertrophy. There's actually like a lot of good things. Or sometimes somebody might say, oh, you know, you're doing those curls. You started to swing a lot. You're starting to incorporate a lot of other muscles.
I cheat the concentric so I can get one more good eccentric. How about that?
But you're like, what did you just say? You just said that I'm recruiting more muscle, you know, from other spots. And I understand that you probably think that I need to do this like super isolated in this controlled way. But sometimes we're just doing stuff for fun. Sometimes we're doing stuff to challenge our mind. Sometimes it's nice to do, you know, you say to yourself, I'm going to do a set of 12 here. And you get to like 9. You're like, I'm going to go for 15. And then you get closer to 15. And you're like, I'm going to do 20.
And if you know how to use your body, you can cheat the weight up safely.
Right.
Like, look at the Olympic lifts. They're the ultimate cheat. Like, lift it strict. No, man, you're cheating. You're jumping under the bar. You're jumping over your head with your hips. It's the ultimate cheat exercise. You know, nobody hates on that, but if you cheat a curl up so you can focus on one more eccentric, oh, you're going to tear your bicep. Well, yeah, but I haven't.
Right.
You know, and I'm preparing myself by systematically exposing my muscles to greater and greater eccentric loads with greater eccentric volume.
Yeah.
And if you do it progressively, it will enhance your system, make you more robust.
Can you go over the different flow and go and show and all the different stuff that you share with us in the gym?
Yeah. So just a way that I structure my workouts to just keep it stupid simple for me. So I start with slow. So a lot of people, when they warm up, they do lightweight, fast, ballistic exercises. Like, think about it. They jog. Jog is impact right away.
Yeah.
They do jumping jacks. They do a lot of reps with like the barbell really fast. People forget that there's 2 elements to force, and mass weight for our purposes is only one aspect. What's the other aspect of force? Acceleration. And acceleration isn't just speeding up, it's speeding up or slowing down. It's a change in the rate of speed, right? So you can do a really fast barbell bench press, and yes, it's very light load, but since you're doing it fast, there's still a lot of force there because you're doing it with speed. You know, when hunters, they want to kill big game, they don't make the bullet bigger, they make it go faster. So it's like, why are we taking one aspect out? So I do the opposite. I take away sometimes all speed and I keep load. So I'll do isometrics, max load, no speed. Right. So I start with slow. That's why I just dumb it down for fucking people. So they don't have to listen to this bullshit. And then flows. That's what we went over earlier. Flow is just sequence movements. It's finding common human patterns, sequencing, and the flows are it. So it's a common pattern that I do under load. So like we talked about earlier, it gives me more feedback. I'm forced to slow it down. It warms me up, if you want to say that. It helps with mobility. And it does give me like a little bit of hypertrophy stimulus, a little bit of a pump, and it's great for my core.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, it's go. So go is all the traditional athletic movements. And there's segments to go. A lot of times I'll start with a unilateral move. So I love to like superset single arm push-ups with single arm bodyweight rows. So, it gets it's good hypertrophy stimulus for the muscles. It's not optimal for pecs. Yeah, you're right. You got me there, motherfucker. It's not optimal for pec growth. Done. We can agree on that. But somehow my pecs are still bigger than yours. I just must take more steroids, I guess. So that's our fucking reasoning, man.
Yeah.
And so I do a couple sets of single arm push-ups with single arm bodyweight rows because it gets my anterior chain. It's anti-transverse plane. So I prevent myself from rotating on transverse plane. So I then work it. It's like anti-rotation.
Yeah.
And the unilateral stuff is anti-frontal plane. And so I get that. So let's go. And then I go into some kind of power movement, like a single arm snatch or a hang high pull, something where I have to use a lot of power. And then I'll transition into the grow. And by grow, I mean strength, not size necessarily, but both, and that's like the more traditional movements. Like if I could do a back squat, I'd do back squats. I love back squats, deadlifts, but I use machines too. So machines, you don't have to stabilize.
Hack squat.
Yeah, I love hack squat, man. So like you don't have to stabilize. That's a good thing sometimes because then you can do max force output. And if machines actually free you up, think about this. Free weights aren't free. Free weights are dictated by physics. You can't push on a barbell any way you want to. You have to push it very precisely for that thing to go up. Free weights aren't free. Machines are actually more free than free weights because there's a thing called resultant force. I can push on that machine however I want. It's only going to move in one pattern. So I can turn off stabilizing muscles that may be hurting me, and I can just focus on pushing on that thing.
Yeah.
So free weights aren't free, and machines can free you up. Doesn't mean I'm fucking anti-free weights. So then let's go. Sorry, I'm just going to fucking get heated. And then, the last segment is show. So it's like pump, single joint, not all single joint, but like some. I go to failure on auxiliary movements, or I'll do high rep push-ups or something like that. So it's just slow, flow, go, grow, show.
Yeah.
And that's how I structure my workouts.
I think something to think about here is this, like, even for the flow movements, because you have the go and you have the grow, right? But for the flow movements, if someone's thinking that you can't build muscle, like all you have to do is with whatever movement you're doing, use adequate load and bring fatigue to the muscle group that's working or groups that are working.
Yeah.
Growth will happen. Is it going to happen potentially as fast as if you were like spamming chest presses every single day? Maybe it won't happen as fast, but the growth will still happen. And you're getting all these other benefits that are happening along with that movement. So there's growth, but there's also better movement ability, better rotation.
Let's compare two different scenarios here. Okay, I have two different options. You can do 4 sets of heavy bench press, right? Or you can do 2 sets of flows and then 2 sets of heavy bench press. You're not going to get twice as much benefit out of those 4 sets of bench press. And then you're always going to be limited by your weakest link in your chain. So I choose to do 2 sets of flows and cut back on my heavy lifting a little bit, but still do it just because I know. But there are times when I really want to optimize my hypertrophy when I'll do more volume of the basic stuff. But like, think about it, man. If like you get 20% more volume from doing 50% more work, that's called diminishing returns. And if you want to be a champion bodybuilder, it's worth it. If you want to be a healthy person that looks good in a shirt, maybe you need to fucking consider.
Yeah, I think, over the years, doing some like max effort type of work, doing things, doing sprinting type of things, whether it's on an assault bike or out on a track or something, or a hill sprint, I think they give you good instincts with like how much to do.
Yeah.
Because you do one, and especially the more experience you get, you're like, that was like, if I'm being honest, kind of iffy. I should not do another one. I should not add weight. I should not try to increase the intensity. In fact, if I'm going to do anything else, I'm going to like back off a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to learn that perspective, but that's been really useful for me. I'd like to just I was doing some leg curls in here the other day, and I ended up getting pretty sore. I knew I was going to get sore. I haven't done a regular leg curl in a long time. I pushed the weight a little bit, but I stopped after I wanted to do like 5 sets. I got to like the 4th set and I was like, that's plenty of work. Like I did exactly what I needed to. And I was right. Like, man, I still got tremendously sore. So it's kind of hard to learn some of those things, but I like what you're saying there. It's like, you're better off, like, especially if you're new to something, just like brush up against it, just kind of like get a feel for it, see how it is, see how you feel doing, 2 sets of bench press and then 2 sets of flies.
Yeah.
Because you're introducing or bringing the flies in so that you don't just kind of walk around like this all the time. You get to express some range of motion. Hopefully it helps to open up the pecs. And if you can do this for longer, you're going to be stronger. Like the longer that you can do this. So like you might not catch another person in their 30s. You know, you might be 30 yourself. You might not be able to catch hardly anybody. But what about when you're 40?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you didn't catch anybody that's really there. But what about when you're 50?
Or what if
and you're still able
you
to
have
do
to
these
reach
things
behind your body and you tear your biceps tendon, and then you can't bench for 2 years, and it's never quite the same.
And we hear stories like that all the time.
The bench press is very dangerous, man. I mean, especially when it's not coupled with other kinds of training.
That's why you need a slingshot.
Exactly.
What are some of these exercises you're doing where you're kind of pushing the plate around? That looks kind of cool.
That's just for adductors. It's like a closed chain.
Mhm.
You know, I'm pulling. So it's just a prep exercise. I love it actually, but just for my adductors.
And when you're working, like when you're working on like adductors and things like that, will you use machines and stuff like that for body parts like that, or not so much?
No, but that's just personal preference. I don't hate on the machines and the adductor machines at all. I just like to be on my feet. You know,
machines are awesome. You know, you can just you can target something.
Yeah.
You know, and requires very little warm up. You can get to it right away. The amount of time that it takes to get something from a machine is less. You know, if we're trying to, you know, go back and forth on squats and stuff like that, it could take a long time.
Selectorize is freaking fantastic, man. Just want to change the pin. Your
Right.
muscles don't know the difference.
Yeah, it's so much quicker and easier. But I think something that attracted me to watching a lot of these videos that you have is just the diversity of the different things that you do. The mixture of hypertrophy, the mixture of speed, agility, coordination. And I do think there's a lot of people that are watching you. I think there's a lot of people watching you and admiring. So I know you have your haters, right? We have those haters, and it's like we tend to bitch and complain, but you're inspiring a lot of people. Yeah. And you're inspiring a lot of people to start to move in ways that maybe they haven't really thought about before, even though a lot of the stuff, you know, our high school football coach taught us some of these things, right? But you're encouraging a lot of people to start to step outside their comfort zone with doing some of these movements. I just think it's awesome.
I appreciate that, brother. Definitely.
There's a video that I'm pulling up of yours, right? Where you, and I just sent it over to Ryan, where you talk about your body progress through the years, and you kind of talk about your genetics. And I think after you posted that, a bunch of people's mates, which you probably didn't see it.
I wasn't aware of it until today. Actually,
it's good you don't pay attention, because there are some people. There's a guy who made an 11-minute video about why what you put forward was bullshit, right? But let me actually talk about some of what he mentioned in that video. He was saying that you were unit, but you were lying about when you were started taking drugs, and it's ridiculous, right? He started comparing you to he started saying, look at someone like Tom Aspinall. And he said, Tom Aspinall is he's the current heavyweight champion in the UFC. Okay. Right? But you look at Tom, he's not super huge, or doesn't have crazy amounts of hypertrophy, but he was like, this is an elite level athlete. And there's you look way better than this, and we're supposed to believe you're not on drugs. That was a weird comparison.
Yeah,
I know. Don't get me wrong.
John Daly's an elite level athlete.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I don't know.
There
are dudes that are massive and shredded. Did you play sports in college?
I played soccer. I played
Dude,
soccer.
There were dudes that looked like Adonis's, man, that fucking sucked as athletes. I'm just gonna say, big muscles, ripped. That dude's not an athlete.
Yes.
We had a trainer that worked for us, was kind of chubby. This black dude didn't like to work out. He was a fucking athlete, man.
Yeah.
Every time he moved, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean.
Yeah. But when you made this post and you were talking about this, why, what was your, I guess, let's talk about this. What was your journey with performance enhancers? When did you find it necessary? Because you were already someone who was really big, at these different ages and periods of your life. Right?
So I think there's a clip in there when I was bodybuilding in my early 20s, 100% natural. And that's the first time I was kind of exposed to it. First of all, I didn't feel the need, because I felt like I was fucking growing all the time. I had energy. And then I would see these dudes back in the day, they would get these fucking abscesses and shit, and they look like shit, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, people said I was on steroids there.
Yeah.
I was in high school in a small town in Missouri. How the fuck in the 90s? How the fuck am I gonna get steroids?
Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with that. But basically, yeah, I mean, I didn't do it when I bodybuilded. And I did 2 natural bodybuilding contests where they gave me a lie detector test. So it wasn't a direct test. But I got tested all through college.
Yeah.
So my college had gotten in trouble for steroids before I got there at a few years. So the NCAA was hammering down. And they say it's random, but I was one of the more muscular dudes on my team. I got tested like every single time.
Yeah.
So I would have been having to like for a Division II scholar. Let me come, give me a break, man. I'm not going to fucking do steroids. I don't feel like I need to defend myself because like nobody's going to believe me.
Yeah.
But and when we both knew dudes in college that naturally were fucking big and shredded.
Dude, like one thing I think people need to think about is like, if we're going to look at like where the actual freaks are, that would be real hypertrophy freaks. It's on an NFL football field or a rugby field. Like, like it's not in the pro natural.
Do you think
body
Garrett Miles does steroids?
Miles Garrett
rather.
People will assume he does though, because everyone thinks that professional athletes use steroids. So, but I don't think so.
You look at some of these guys when they retire, like a lot of these professional football players, when they retire, you can tell that they're like, oh, now they probably got on some stuff. Because when you see those guys get on stuff, they turn completely different. I mean, what I always say about the NFL and about some of these extraordinary athletes is like, and I know some people are like, well, that's because they're all on them. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that to be true. The same thing happens with when people that are drug tested in the IPF and powerlifting. People are just like, there's no way that Jesus Oliveras, squats over 1,000 pounds, benches 600 and pulls 900 natural.
There's some very strong natural. My best friend is a lifetime natural, and he would tell me, man, I mean, I'm not going to say his name, but like he would tell me if he did steroids. We talk about it, and he's gotten his test checked and it's low, and he deadlifts 800 pounds, squats 600 and benches 500 pounds. Lifetime natural.
He's in his 40s too. Huh?
He's in his 40s. I played college football with him. And his dad, John Ware, his name himself. He was our head football coach. That was his uncle. And John Ware did steroids later because everybody did back in the day. And I do testosterone now too. And I've tried other steroids, and we'll talk about it. But
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't see the thing, so I don't know when he says I started using steroids.
He assumes it's much younger. I think he thinks like actually at the time you were in your 20s, he was assuming like that's when you probably started using some stuff because of how much of a unit you were.
I mean, I was like 220, 230 too.
Yeah.
Like now I'm like 250. You know what I mean? So it's doable.
Yeah.
And plus I was and I guess Rangers do them in the military, but I didn't know any, and I deployed all the time and I had to take that shit overseas with me. I just don't know. Like, and this dude, I'm sure he's natural. That dude, I promise you, could be a lot more muscular if he trained different. Like, you can't tell me that's that dude's genetic potential right there.
He trains like a beast. I think his shirt is actually hiding a lot, because like you see this dude in video. His name's Tarun. He's a great coach.
He's in shape.
Yeah, he's in great shape. He does a lot of grappling. You'll see him like doing like he's quite a muscular dude. He's quite a big shirt. But yeah, I think one of the things that he mentioned in that video was that he mentioned you saying that you train harder than most people.
I do. I mean, hey, look around the gym, dude. Like, nobody's sweating. I look at it, like, nobody's fucking working hard here.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with it. So from a young age, I was fucking training like a maniac. I'd go in. I was the only one in there in the summertime. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to brag about myself, but yeah, it's a fucking point blank statement. From a young age, I've trained harder than almost anybody I know, and anybody that knows me knows that to be the case.
Yeah,
because I loved working out. It's how I dealt with some of my fucking trauma, and I fucking got after it. And so, yes, I don't train other disciplines like he does. I'm sure he trains really hard for fighting. He doesn't lift weights as hard as I do. I promise you he doesn't. And just like I don't fight as hard as he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I from a young age, from 13, I was fucking addicted. You know?
Where did the work ethic come from?
I don't know if it's a work ethic, man, because I can be kind of lazy. It's like a passion. So when you have a passion for something, you don't have to have a work ethic, because like there's other parts of my life where I'm not incredibly disciplined, honestly.
You feel like you have to do it in some way? Is there some sort of...
Yeah, it's not to look a certain way. So I have a ton of insecurities. Like physical appearance isn't necessarily one of them. It's like almost like everything in my head goes away when I inflict some pain on myself in the gym. My world gets smaller. My problems get smaller. It's a place I'm comfortable with. It's like therapy. And if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you don't. And if you're only working out to look good, it's an external stimulus. And it's just not that powerful of a stimulus. I always tell some people, you're going to start making changes when you don't like the way your stomach feels when you're sitting in line at the drive-thru at McDonald's. If you're only worried about how people look at you when you're sitting on a beach, that's not enough of a stimulus frequently enough for you to make changes. You got to hate, even if you were on a deserted island and nobody saw you and you could see your reflection in the fucking watering hole when you went to get your water and you hated the way you looked, that's when you make changes. You know, if you were like, I want to get a six-pack for when I get rescued and want to look good. No, man, you're going to you'll stay fat.
You think you need a little bit of hate?
There's a little bit of trauma. Most people I know that are really into the gym, they got some kind of trauma there. There's something that's bothering them, and they don't know. It's how they manage their trauma. It's how they steady themselves.
Their lifting is like, their exercising is irrational.
Yeah,
it's beyond.
Yeah, and no hate to them, man. We all deal with our
Right.
trauma in different ways. Some people cut themselves. I don't know. Some people beat their wives. I fucking beat up a squat rack.
Isn't it crazy how different you can be? Like, on your way to the gym, maybe like the day is like fumbly and the day sort of got away from you, and it's 3:30 in the afternoon, and you're usually you train a little earlier, and you're kind of flustered and frustrated.
Yeah.
And you feel like an asshole, like you kind of like just irritated, I guess you'd say. And then I don't know, 15 minutes later, you did just a couple things in the gym, and just your mood, your mind, all the shit you were either worried about or bothered by, it's all gone.
That's so true, man. The clarity you get, the sense of peace.
Right.
People that don't get that, they don't understand how hard you have to work to make, especially if you're natural, to make significant change and how long it takes. And if they're only motivated by the wanting to look better, it's not going to work for them. There has to be something there where you just love it. You know what I mean?
Because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. Like, this isn't something that you just do for 10 years so that you can look good and quit.
Yeah.
Like, you do it because it's, again, I think that's why we've been doing this for so long. It does more than just make us look good. Right?
Yeah. It's funny. People are like, you have to keep doing that or you're just going to lose it all. I'm like, yeah, I dread the day when I can't. That's the difference, is when you're worried to get older and you can't do it anymore. That's what we worry about losing the ability to exercise.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'd be happy to delve deeper into my steroid use when I took it.
So let me ask you this then. Yeah. So like, how was that process for you? Because contrary to what many people might believe, you didn't start when you were very big and you were young. What were the reasons?
I just didn't feel like I needed it. And
what were the reasons you did start? And
so I was in a difficult marriage, and I just had a kid. I wasn't sleeping well. I went and I first got my test checked when I was 37, and it was like in the low 300s.
Oh, shit.
And I just assumed, fucking football player, I had 10,000 tests naturally, and I was like, oh shit. So I think before I actually started taking I think I tried Clomid actually. So I think in one of those late pictures, I said I was natural. I think I might have been on Clomid, which, I mean, if
it's not gonna really do much for you muscle building wise. Maybe it does something, but it's very little.
Yeah.
That was like 37, you said?
In my 30s, I know I tried Clomid. I can't remember when or how long I was on it, but I know I tried it. It didn't do much. I didn't feel much different. So, and I feel like for my mood, it almost made me worse. And then at age 40, I got tested again. I was still low, and I got on testosterone through a doctor. So I was on 200 milligrams a week for like 6 months. And then I was just like, I felt great, man. So the biggest thing is like sleeping better, and I wasn't as sore as long. So testosterone, it makes a difference, man. And it's heavily dose dependent. If you're rocking 600 milligrams a week, yeah, man, you're going to, because I tried it. I think I did 500, and dude, big difference. I'd got some skin issues with it. You know what I mean? And then I'd have to take an anastrozole, and and then that's not good for me. And then I was just trying, it gets to be a balancing game after a while.
Yeah.
Spinning a lot of plates.
Yeah. It really is, man. And people don't tell you that. And I'm glad I did it all, because I can speak firsthand, and the shit they say is fucking legit. So you don't get, at least I didn't, from testosterone. Testosterone actually puts me in a better mood. I feel more even keeled.
Yeah.
But I did trenbolone for 3 weeks. Fucking worst experience of my life.
It's like testosterone. It's a trend. Like,
no. So first I did, I started taking Masteron with it.
Okay.
So I did some of my research on it, and then I added, or I took that away. I tried D-ball for a while. I felt great on D-ball. It looked like shit. I tried that for like
round face.
Yeah. I tried that for like 4 weeks or something. It works really quick too, man. You get strong in a fucking hurry on that shit.
Okay.
And then I read how bad it was for you to stop taking that.
A lot of people can get hurt because they get so strong.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I think then my favorite cycle ever was I did 300 milligrams of testosterone a week. I did 10 to 20 milligrams of Anavar a day, like 4 or 5 days a week. And I did between 50 and 100 milligrams of Deca. I felt fantastic. I got big and fucking strong. But I had bad skin issues. And then there was some progesterone issues, I think, with the Deca.
Yeah.
And then it was just a lot of fucking stuff to take. And then I backed off. And so for a long time, I took like, I tried, don't do this, man. Don't make this fucking mistake. I try to do less test. It's like 100 milligrams a week just to get a baseline, and try to supplement it with orals and Deca. Ruin my fucking blood profile. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And a big problem with ruining your blood profile is if you do that for like a prolonged period of time, it will really start to have some consequences. So some people are like, oh, you can reverse that. And that's very true. But if you go on months and months and years of doing that, you're going to be causing some damage that won't be reversible.
So I used to think it's better to take a small dose of Anavar for a long time because it's easier on your liver. But like he said, I think if you're going to do it, do a higher dose, shorter amount of time, just get the fuck off of it. You know, and and then, you know, 200 milligrams of test and 10 to 20 milligrams of Anavar when I really needed it, like when I want to be stronger, because Anavar works fast as an oral. So it gives me strength for that day. Did that for a while, ruined my fucking blood profile still. And so I would, right now, I don't measure too well. So I'm on like 200, 250 a week, you know?
That's testosterone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel the best on 300, honestly, but I do pretty well on 250.
And, you know, like going back to what you mentioned when you got your blood work done, you had lower testosterone. Like, again, nothing against testosterone, but you are actually a solid candidate for this too. It's not just, I mean, for you, what are your reasons for it?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Those are my questions. Like for you, what are your reasons for testosterone? Like what it helps your mood, sleep better.
It helps me recover better between workouts, so I can work out more frequently. So like, you know, I have to go 3-4 days and I'd be sore, and I was like, that never used to happen when I was younger. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And there are other ways you should try too before you hop on test. There's ways to up it naturally. There's ways to recover faster using other methods. Like, I'm not saying just jump on test. It helped me out, and I tried higher doses. There are good things and bad things. Yeah. And I would do more steroids right now if they didn't have like I would, man, if they didn't have like horrible side effects. Yeah. And fucking expensive. It gets expensive. So yeah, I mean, I'm on a moderate dose, and it's not TRT though, because TRT would probably, you know, people try to define TRT. Like it brings you up to natural levels. What's a fucking natural level? I'm on hormone enhancement therapy. I'm 250. That I'm sure I'm rocking more than 1,000 nanograms per deciliter a week. I'm sure I am. So I'm not natural. I am enhanced with testosterone. Yeah. Now there's a big difference between 250 and 1,000. You know. Yeah. But I don't discount the fact it does help me out. But also, like during that process, I gained like 30 to 40 pounds of weight. A lot of it was muscle, but man, I'm kind of regretting that now, dude, because I don't feel quite as good when I move. You know. So
what do you think you'd be around? Because like you were 230, like without taking anything. So at this point, like, what do you think your body would be at? Like 225?
Oh, it's hard to tell because I'm older.
True.
You know, that's the thing. Like, of course, I wasn't bodybuilding then either. Weightlifting was part of it, but I was also doing like a lot of endurance work. Yeah. And when the short times I did like just bodybuild, I got 248% body fat, completely lifetime fucking natural in my mid 30s. Yeah. And it turns out I was rocking like 400 milligrams of test, you know, naturally. Nanoliter per deciliter or whatever, nanogram per deciliter. But like, I don't know, man, because I am older. Yeah. So I can't say that I would be that anymore. Maybe not. Maybe if I did everything perfect. Because steroids, they do let you fudge a little bit, man. I mean, you can't deny that. But it's not a miracle. I know a lot of dudes will come with me, Jim. They always ask me what I'm taking first.
Yeah, I know.
And these dudes are rocking some fucking shit, man. I'm like, whoa, bro.
Because that's what everybody thinks is where all the results come from.
Yeah, and they look like shit. I mean, they just do. I'm like, bro, it looks like you're not taking anything. Or you can kind of tell, but they just look like garbage, man. So it's not. So really, I try to like battle the thing with steroids because I'm just want to discourage people from thinking it's like this miracle drug. Yeah. And everything has a feedback loop. Everything comes with consequences. I felt those consequences firsthand. I measured my blood pressure on Trenbolone 3 weeks. I have good blood pressure. It went to like 140, 150 over whatever the fuck you did, like, or something. No, something like. It was high. It's high as fuck, man. And I don't have high blood pressure. Yeah. I was like, this shit is not made for human beings. This shit is gonna kill me. But I got big in 3 weeks. I got fucking big and strong on that shit. Yeah. And then I got off, and it all went away. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's like it's not permanent either. Like Trenbolone, I don't know who the fuck would take Trenbolone, honestly.
I have a question. I heard you mentioned you were on Clomid before you started taking testosterone. I was just wondering what was your rationale for being on Clomid before you started taking any PEDs?
So I heard, and there's some truth here, that it ups your what's the HPA axis or whatever, hypothalamus. Yeah. So it tricks your body into producing more testosterone naturally, basically.
Rob Wolf, I believe, I don't know if he still does it, but for a while he was talking about it, and he felt that it helped him a lot. And he's, probably 50 or so, 45, 50 years old.
From what I read, people are more happy with the injectable. What is that? The shit that Manny Ramirez got in trouble for, subcutaneous. Oh, what the fuck's it called? And it works kind of in a similar fashion.
Maybe like an HCG?
HCG, that's what I'm looking for. People, from what I've heard, people are more happy with HCG. And if you want to take testosterone and not have it like kill your reproductive ability, a lot of people recommend taking HCG with your testosterone. So, but man, it just adds complexity to something that's already, something you got to take twice a week. I get tired of fucking injecting twice a week. I'm like, fuck, man.
One thing I want to add too is that testosterone, so we all love the gym, and you're just thinking about somebody listening right now. If you love the gym and you take testosterone, you're going to be like more tethered to the gym, which could be a good thing for some of you that maybe fallen off. You've been a little inconsistent, but it can keep you locked into a loop of things that's not great. So for example, if you like powerlifting or you like bodybuilding and you take these drugs and you get bigger and you like the effect of that, well, you're not going to be probably spending as much time doing some of the stuff we're talking about to get you to move better, because you're not going to feel the steroids when you're doing these other exercises. When you're going over mobility stuff and you're doing these other things, you're going to be more drawn to those deadlifts. You're going to be more drawn to those things that just the videos, all the videos of Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler and those guys, like what exercises are they doing, and how does it look when they're doing, like they're yelling, they're screaming, veins are popping. And it's just going to kind of encourage you to do more of that. And so I think it's good for people to know, like whatever version of the fitness culture you're in now, if you're into strength training and bodybuilding type stuff, you're going to dive way further. It's going to change a little bit of who you are. Like literally, like it might take a while, but over time and that's important for you to know. That it's important. If you have a partner, you have a girlfriend, whatever the situation is, it's important that you start to really consider a lot of other things. You have kids, like you're going to spend more time in the gym, and maybe the time you're spending now, maybe that's a problem in your household. So these are all things to like
fitness.
Consider.
You can work out to look good, but fitness should support the rest of your life, not take away from it, right? And I've been victim of that too. I've had to check myself. Like I'm too sore to run around with my kid. Like what the fuck is going on right now? Or I want to cut this short. I want to cut short playing catch with my kid because I got to make sure I get an hour and a half into the gym. Like, man, I don't know. I'm not telling people what to do or how to live life, but just, Mark's spot on with that, man. And I've read some stuff like steroids and even testosterone can make you a little bit myopic. Like he's talking about, you tend to hyper focus on things a little bit. So just, man. And
all that could be good.
Yeah.
For one person might be good. Might change their life in a positive direction. For another person, I've been to so many expos, and you've been to some of the expos and stuff with me before, and you see these different guys and they're with different girls, like every year, every other year. You're like, oh man. But like when you start to take testosterone, you're going to have more of an appetite.
Dude,
your sexual appetite's going to increase a lot.
Yeah, be careful. Like if you have a high sex drive, man, it gets you in a lot of fucking trouble.
I'm happy I don't.
You know what I mean? Like
that would fuck me up.
The girl walks by and like the smell of their hair and stuff. You're like, oh my god,
smell of her hair.
Yeah, it could be. Everything changes when you take
certain steroids. Like are very pronounced with that too.
And even something like Tren will, like we've had guests on the show before talk about how Tren brain, it like changes so many different things about you. So it's good to be aware of all this shit.
Roid rage is both a myth and it's true, because certain testosterone in some people, it's rare, but certain compounds, I think halotestin, trenbolone, Anadrol, maybe.
All the good ones.
Yeah, the ones that are very powerful. Part of the reason they work so well is they have like a neural effect. They literally, you can put out more force. They change, like you do get roid rage on some of that shit. People that take trenbolone said, don't take it if you want to keep staying in your relationship. It'll ruin your fucking relationship. Yeah, man. They're spot sometimes. There's like it's like gets blown out of proportion, but like there's truth there, man.
Yeah. Is there anything at this point when it comes to, the stuff that you're continuing to learn? Because it seems that you're trying new things, you're adding new things, you're developing new concepts. is there anything that really excites you that you're developing or working on that's like, ooh, this is kind of cool?
Well, I mean, today the rope flow thing was really cool.
Okay,
I'm gonna start incorporating that. Like that was just
You picked it up well, right off the bat.
Oh man, it just felt so good, dude. Like, and that's that kind of stuff. I want to get my shoulder mobility back because it's really limiting right now. Because I want to try a lot of mace work and stuff like that. And I see so much value there. I can't really do it because anything behind my head just kills me. So that's something I would dive into, and then just playing around with like the central nervous system a little bit, like ways that I can like optimize that, you know, by, you know, pre-activation techniques and stuff like that, or different patterns, you know. So I'm trying to develop something called undulating neural loading, where it's kind of like Charlie Francis would do the high-low, but mine kind of like staggers up quickly during the first part of my microcycle. And then I spend the rest I have like an 8 to 10 day microcycle. And I spend the rest of the time staggering it back down with occasional smaller peaks. And I'm playing around with different templates there because it works well for track, but like for most people, having a high neural load day and a low one and alternate just doesn't work great. So I'm finding ways. And then also you need more than one day for your nervous system to completely recover. But some things you can really kick the shit out of yourself and see benefit, and you don't need a fresh nervous system. So I'm trying
to an example be.
So like, I mean, so Metcon, metabolic conditioning, like circuits and high intensity stuff. I don't need a fresh nervous system for that, or even bodybuilding type stuff. I don't need my nervous system primed for that. So I'm trying to like, you know, I do this thing where it's like a moderate day, heavy upper, and then I'm trying to like a short duration, very high intensity, like sprints. And then I'll like hammer my legs the next day. So those 3 days I'm fucking shot. You know, but then I'll go really low for a day and then I'll titrate back up a little bit and then back down. So I try to like stack all that heavy neural loading stuff early in the microcycle and spend the rest of the week recovering while also doing things that benefit my performance. So I can give my nervous system an extended period of time to recover. So it's like, you know, making sure I don't do something after that heavy CNS day that is going to be detrimentally affected by having a CNS that's not fresh. But then giving my CNS an extended period of time so I can really be fresh going into the next thing. I haven't quite perfected that yet, but I think I'm on to something. Yeah.
You mentioned to us having CTE. Well, what is that experience like? What does that do? How does that feel?
I wasn't diagnosed with CTE. I have PTSD. CTE is more of a physiological thing from blast exposure. I was exposed to blast exposures. I haven't been diagnosed with CTE, but I have some post-traumatic stress. And it's not what people think, man. It's just like, and I denied having it for a long time. But you know, you get anxiety around people. You don't have appropriate reactions to things. You get put in flight or fight syndrome way too fast. And it, you know, I denied having it for a long time because I thought it was a thing of weakness, and I lied about having my nightmares and shit like that. Because I didn't see as much combat as some other people that maybe don't have it, and I was kind of ashamed of it, you know. And I honestly didn't think this shit was affecting me that much. You know, there wasn't a night when I was overseas where I was like, oh my God, and traumatized. We accidentally killed an old man one night, and I was there when he died, and he was like muttering something to me as he died. And we had shot through the door and killed his wife and one of his sons. And then they in Afghanistan, they live in these extended family compounds, right? So there's a courtyard and multiple families live. So we had to spend the day with the family because we had to like fly in reparations and obviously fix the fucking situation that we caused. And just seeing the grandkids like cry over their bodies and shit and being in that situation, I didn't think it affected me that much in the moment. But then I started having nightmares about that particular scenario. And then some other ones, like seeing a lot of flattened bodies. Because like when you walk through where artillery was and stuff like that, or, you know, we have these Spectre gunships and just what a 105 will do to a fucking human body, man. And
what's a 105?
It's an artillery shell. They put on this big propeller C-130, propeller-driven C-130, and they fly in a circle with that target in the middle, so it's very accurate. And we had air supremacy, so at night they don't have to worry about it. And we would just pummel 40 Mike and 105 down these people, and you know, you see some bodies and shit, man. And at the time it didn't bother me, man, but as I got older, it just didn't go away. You know what I mean? But I saw a lot less combat than a lot of other people. So, but yeah, I mean, so when I was single, doesn't bother me on a day. I get periods where I'm down, or but when I have a family and it affects my relationships, it's like I gotta do this for other people, man. I gotta fix my shit because that's a sign of strength, right? Is like admit to your weaknesses or whatever it is or your struggles so that you can fix your fucking self to help other people, because other people were now suffering because of my shit.
What are some strategies that you have? Is there any, or is there any?
For me, breathing really helps. I know a lot of people think it's food, man, but you can change your physiology immediately by changing how you breathe. Working on nasal breathing, box breathing. Dude, if you don't do it, do it. After my workouts, 3 minutes of box breathing, night and day. Or when I feel anxiety, I just focus on my breathing. And then also, I have this thing called edge thinking, where I do thought check-ins, where I categorize my thoughts as inside edge, outside edge, and middle thoughts. And I just try to stay away from the middle. So the analogy I use when people snowboard, man, you want to stay on the edge of the board. The middle, you have no control. And so that the middle thoughts are the thoughts we have no control over. They're our anxieties, worrying about what people are thinking about us. So I read somewhere that you have like 70,000 thoughts a day, and so every time I see the number 3, I just cue me to do a thought check-in. I'm like, what am I thinking about right now? And if I catch myself thinking about these middle thoughts that are causing anxiety, I just shift it to either inside or outside edge. With inside edge are action thoughts, where like, what can I affect? Be in the moment. Don't worry about shit. Outside edge thoughts are like big picture, planning, wondering, being curious. It's like Greek mythology, like Dionysus and like that Apollo. Dionysus, you'd get lost, you'd lose yourself to passion. You're in the moment. Apollo's more reserved. He was more of the observer. In that play, the Bacchae, I think it was, like Dionysus played 2 roles, but he was the stranger. He was the observer. The other one is the tempter, the passion, and neither are wrong. So if we spend our whole lives never being in the moment, we're going to miss out on a lot of life. If we're always reserved and we can't open up or like let yourself go and dance, you're going to miss out on a lot that brings. But if you can't control your passions, being in the moment, you don't know when to step away from yourself, like tap yourself on the shoulder and say, hey, you need to take a step back. So being able to go in and out between the Dionysus and the Apollo and understand how to find balance is going to lead to a lot of happiness in life.
It's like the same concept as the yin and yang. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Balance, man.
But going to that thought check-in, is that something that you kind of like train yourself to, every time you see that number 3 anywhere, your mind will go there and will check in with yourself?
Not every time, but
okay.
Quite frequently, because you don't realize how frequently we see numbers on a day-to-day basis, or and so dozen times a day I'm noticing the number 3, and I'm like, what am I? It takes half a second. 3, what am I thinking about? Oh, think about this. Fixed. Move on. And you get better at it. So anything you practice it, you get better at it. Just whatever cue you want to use, just doing thought check-ins is a good thing. Like, think about what you're thinking about, because our thoughts are powerful. Like, if we want to, I would say, if you want to control your future, you have to control your present, your environment. If you want to control your environment, you have to control your actions. If you want to control your actions, you have to control your thoughts. So we try to change our future without changing our thoughts. It's fucking hopeless. So I have a lot of fucking sayings.
Sounds like they're helpful.
Like, is there anything, because I think one thing that helps a lot of people are the resources that like you've managed to learn, because I know you said you're a history buff, so you've been like reading about history forever, right? But for, let's say, your mindset, the way that you think about these things, are there any books that you think you've learned some meat from that you would suggest to people?
And typical stuff, like I love Kelly Starlett stuff, all the typical books. I learned a lot from social media, man, to be honest. YouTube, like access to guys like Mark Bell. Like, going to the guys that have done the research, have them find guys that can communicate it really well to you. Like, I love Brett Contreras' stuff, man. Like, he's done the research. He breaks it down. And then, I have some of his books too. A lot of Soviet reading with the dry manuals and the periodization. A lot of that shit's overcomplicated. But they bring up good points and interesting points. And then experimenting with that stuff. Like people always write on social media, but I've learned so much from like Mark Bell and shit. Just listen to him and other guys like him talk. David Weck, I bring up all the time. People bring up interesting ideas, and they're smart dudes. Just fucking listen to them.
And then try the shit out.
Try it out,
you have
man.
to experience
Try it out.
Yeah.
Everybody's always like, what book do you read? I'm like, dude, if I tell you, to go buy Super Training, you're not going to buy that shit, and you're not going to fucking read it. You know what I mean? It was hard for me to get through, honestly. You're not going to read studies. I read studies. They're fucking boring. And sometimes my eyes glaze over and I don't get anything from them. Like, what the, and like the first thing I do now with the studies, I go to limitations. I'm like, I'm not gonna read this shit. It's many limitations. You know what I mean? Because even in limitations, you're like, well, what the fuck what is this gonna help me with then?
Yeah.
There's too many limitations. You're gonna get me all excited with some abstract, and then I'm like, oh yeah, 2 participants. So okay. You know?
Yeah.
People need to stop fucking citing studies.
Okay.
And if you're gonna cite a study, I hope you read more than the abstract.
Yeah.
And don't say you researched shit. You didn't research it. You heard somebody else cite some research that they heard somebody else. That's like fucking telephone. Anyway, but yeah, science doesn't prove anything. Science is like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We should dig into that deeper. Science shouldn't convince you of something. It should give you pause. So if a scientific study shows something, it should give you pause before you do something else against it. It's like, yeah, everybody says that's truth, but this study said, so now I'll do it with a grain of salt.
You probably get a bit of ridicule for the things that you do, right? Because like there aren't probably many of the things you do probably have some study backing, but not everything you do is based off of papers, which is what a lot of people on the evidence-based side of fitness do. They'll always cite a new study or studies that have been done to prove something that they're doing.
Science doesn't clear paths. It doesn't pioneer anything. It proves or disproves. You know what I mean? So if you're only going to go by science, you're always going to be behind. I'm sorry. You should use science. It's a tool. But if you're going to limit yourself to things that have only been studied with science, you're always going to be limited. And I like science. I promise you, I read more science than any of these motherfuckers citing these fucking studies. A lot of times I'm not crazy impressed with the studies. And I still use a lot of scientific principles. But they're like, how do you progress that? I'm like, I don't know if I really need to progress that. Not everything needs to be progressed, but there's a lot of ways. Increase speed, increase reps, decrease rest periods, make a longer lever. I don't know, decrease my base support. There's a dozen fucking ways other than just more weight.
Yes.
And so I don't even fucking answer those people. I'm just like, you're a fucking moron. I don't know. How would you progress it?
Yeah.
You know, add a 2 pound plate. Is that the limit of your fucking genius is to add more weight?
You know, sorry, Mark, because I know there's something in your mind, but I think that right there is something that could give a lot of people ideas, because many times when it comes to things in the weight room or movements that people are doing, the number one thing that they think about doing for progression is increasing weight. What are the other factors that one should think about to make something harder in a more fruitful way?
Well, there's always more reps.
Yes.
I know people hate on it. So if you went from doing 5 push-ups and now you can do 10, guess what? You progressed. More range of motion, faster concentric speed, movement speed, being able to tolerate a faster eccentric speed, creating a longer lever. Like you want to progress a dumbbell fly, okay, go down with your elbows extended more, or a dumbbell bench press rather. A dumbbell fly is a progression of a dumbbell bench press in some aspects. I'm sorry. Like, increase the moment arm. Google the fucking term moment arm. Like, there's so many ways, man. Decrease your rest periods. I don't fucking know. Like, and every progression has specificity to it. So decreasing rest periods after a certain time isn't going to make you stronger, but has other benefits. And I don't know. Decrease your base support. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of ways. Yeah. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I'm telling you, everybody knows this shit. They should, right?
No, like a lot of people that listen don't. You know what I mean? So it's like for a lot of people, this might be some new information. So it's good that they can hear it from somebody who's been doing this for such a long time, because I think sometimes it's hard to realize all the ways you can do something outside of the ways that you've seen on social media.
You know, a great way to progress weight without going open weight is start doing more stuff from a dead stop. It increases rate of force production. It's way harder because you don't get the benefit of the stretch reflex. So before you add weight to the bar with your conventional isotonic with a stretch reflex amortization phase, do half your reps from a dead stop. Way fucking harder.
Yeah.
It's like things like that. You know, and safer too.
Yeah.
You were telling us earlier that you were going to do ibogaine. What are you hoping, I guess, comes out of that? And like, what's the reason for that intervention?
So, I'm struggling with PTSD and have a lot of social anxiety still. A lot of, childhood trauma and things like that. And people have reported amazing results from it. So, to this day, I'm not an alcoholic, but I still want to turn to having a beer or something like that whenever I'm stressed out. I just want to improve who I am and who I am to the people in my life that I really love. And this seems like a safe way to do it. Yeah.
And you're going to a place where it has somebody, monitoring you or something like that?
Yeah, so it's in Mexico. I think they're well in the process of making it legal in Texas, but right now it's in Mexico. They fly you down there. They have cardiologists. They put you on an EKG. You spend a day acclimatizing. You're monitored the entire time. They've never had anyone die. I think 10,000 people, and no one's ever died. It's very dangerous when it's not monitored. I mean, we give people fentanyl in hospitals all the time,
Right?
And that kills very few people, because even something as dangerous as fentanyl, when controlled, probably won't kill you. So it's considered safe, and I try not to worry too much.
It's kind of the end game when it comes to some of the psychedelics that are out there. Have you tried any of the other ones, or just your mindset just goes to like, let me go to the.
I mean, I think I did Molly a couple times. Does that count? I don't know if that can count.
I think that counts a little bit.
It was fun.
Yeah,
I don't know if it helped. But,
yeah.
No, I haven't, man. I've never been drawn to things that like change my mental.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be. I do more sedatives. Like I need to be brought down. So I always chase those drugs that like bring me down.
Ibogaine is so interesting. My brother's done it. I know a couple other people who have done it, and it seems to just reset your body. And it even resets receptors in your body and stuff like that. And it's just like, what the hell makes this tree bark do this? Iboga. Like, what is it? What is it about that drug? But I kind of think there's like a medicinal thing for every single thing that you can incur in this lifetime.
Yeah.
I think there's something under some rock somewhere, some mushroom or some whatever the hell. I just think that's kind of the way that it works. Like, there's stuff out there to help us, and there's stuff out there to help move us forward. But we have to be kind of open-minded to try it. If you were to explain what Ibogaine does to somebody, they'd be like, whoa, I would never do that. But if you're compromised and you don't feel well, and you're now seeing this as a different opportunity, maybe this could be utilized to help change my life, help move me in a different way.
And there's a lot of evidence behind it now. The preponderance of evidence is beneficial. I mean, LSD, they were onto something there, man. I mean, a lot of these things that are really dangerous have a lot of upsides to them. A lot of authors and people I love wrote that shit on LSD.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, music and so forth.
It opens your brain up to things that it can't normally access.
Have you had opportunity to communicate with other military people about what you go through and stuff like that? And
a lot of dudes, I talked to my old platoon sergeant, and I didn't realize how many dudes had done it already, and how well known it is in the vet community.
Oh, wow.
And how much people were struggling.
Cool. I really hope it helps. I think that's, because that sounds like such a difficult thing to get through. It sounds like it just sounds like traditional psychology, psychiatry, medication. It just sounds like people aren't having that much success with it. Although I have heard of some people having some success sometimes. So
yeah, I go to a therapist, and we did MDMR or EDMR, and I have great success with that. Definitely helped out. I recommend that.
What's EDMR stand?
I don't know, man. You have to look it up.
Is that a brain thing?
Yeah, it's a brain thing. So it's either you do it with your eyes, or I had pulsars, and they stimulate different electronic pulses as I think about a memory and recontextualize it in my mind. And then I had one memory from my childhood that's causing me a lot of anxiety, and that definitely helped with that, man. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So there's a lot of evidence behind that too, and I found personal success with it. And it took me a long time before I'd go to a therapist, man. But it definitely helps.
Actually, was there anything else you wanted?
Go ahead.
Okay, because I'm about to ask about something totally different. Okay, all right. This brings me on to something. Do you still train with guns? Do you still go out to ranges and use that?
I would love to, man. It's just so expensive.
Okay,
but I would love to, man. That'd be so fun. I love shooting.
So I'm curious, because there's a lot of people on the sports science side that do a lot of things with athletes in their eyes, and then you realize how important vision is and ability to go between objects fairly quickly to process information, right? And I recently just got my license and got my first firearm, and I was in the range with a friend and didn't realize how I'm able to focus on the target. And you have to focus on your reticle and the target, and you need to be able to focus quickly.
Yeah.
And I was realizing I'm slow to switch, right? And then I was thinking to myself, let's say I would have come out to a range once every 2 weeks just to train. Like the eyesight gains that these guys are probably getting deep into old age that I probably am not getting from the things I do. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah. A lot of that though is the shooting becomes instinctual.
That's true.
Or they
That's
might
true.
use the red dot a little bit, but they can kind of feel. The Delta guys would come in and help instructors sometimes, and you could tell by the way they were like demonstrating, they could just twist the gun a little bit and make the vector or the trajectory different, the bullet, just by a little twist.
Okay.
And a lot of times I would see them shoot and they don't even use the reticle.
Okay.
A lot of it's instinctual. Yeah, they get so good at it's it's like guys that shoot a longbow, like they don't aim it. They can hit a very small target very long ways away, or guys that use a sling. Yeah. It's just an instinctual process. They just know where the bullet's going to go.
Okay.
But yeah, there is some eye movement, tracking, acquisition, things like that.
Okay.
A lot of it isn't reaction time. It you become so familiar in those environments that you actually have to react to less, because you can, without knowing it, take in so much stimulus that preps you to react or respond better. So like Barry Bonds couldn't hit a softball thrown by one Finch, and they use that as a case to why softball players were better athletes than baseball players. It's no, Barry Bonds couldn't hit a baseball unless he had been exposed to a pitcher because there's no way we can react fast enough.
Yes.
There's no way a boxer can react to a punch. Think about this. They start reacting the minute they can feel the movement of the other fighter start. Yeah. And then they have longer time to react. So they're, people with dark eyes, black people, Hispanic people, brown people, they just have quicker reaction time. They just do. There's a lot of fighters of different races, but white fighters still do okay. Yeah. Because a lot of fighting is more than just reaction time. It's skill and anticipation. Your reaction time slows down as you get older. Quarterbacks still do well late into age because they acquire more skill. Yeah. So the whole reaction time training is fine. Don't put too much stock into it though. Yeah. Expose yourself to the situation more. And you get better. This has been proven that it's not reaction time, it's skill, and they can anticipate, better anticipation.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're inspired and motivated by you, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. We were all fired up. Everyone was excited to have you here today.
Man, it's an honor. I don't want to ride your nuts too much, man, but dude, it's an honor that I finally got to sit down with you and talk to you, man. You personally have helped me out so much. The things you invented, the slingshot and the shake strap, use those things all the time. You're one of the rare minds in this field, and it's an honor to get to talk to you, man, and call you my friend, dude. It's huge. You have no idea.
Thank you so much. Where can people learn how to do some of the stuff that you're doing on social media? Have classes or courses or an ebook or something?
Well, hopefully a lot of stuff's coming. A lot on Instagram. I have a fitness app.
We got to get this guy to get a YouTube channel.
He has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I know.
So I do have some of these flows on the YouTube channel. I need to get a lot more on there.
Podcast on there.
Yeah, mostly my podcast on there. But if you scroll down enough, my flows are on YouTube. A lot of them. But I need more. And I think I have one or two on skipping and speed drills.
Cool.
But yeah, we just need to do it more often. But and then that's basically it right now. Instagram and my workout app. And
what's your podcast?
It's just the Judd Lienhard podcast. And they can just Google Judd Lienhard and it should pop up. But I interview a lot of people on there from different walks of life. So anthropologist, breathing expert, Marcus Capone, he's a SEAL Team 6 guy. Sat down with John Wellborn twice. That guy's a brilliant mind.
He is.
And then hopefully I can have you on soon.
No problem. Did you mention that you have any courses anywhere? Is that available do you have anything like that yet?
I have a fitness app, which has different blocks of training and with video demonstrations attached to each.
What's it called?
If they go to Playbook or they go on my website, it'll pop right up for them. They just go to juddlienhard.com and they'll be able to. Then also on my Instagram page, if you look at the top, just you can get my fitness app.
Cool. Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people, they're probably inspired and excited, but they're probably also a little confused. They're like, where do I put this in, or how do I start to do this?
Yeah, and then you make it your own too, man. If you do it for a while, take what you want from it, adjust the workouts however you see fit. I'm not saying that's the only way you have to work out either.
We do have a super chat that just came in. It's from The Other. It says, shout out to Judd. I did the loaded slam ball throws in his mass method and immediately walked better. Any of y'all ever tried movements like rope flow while on psychedelics?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring a rope with me to Mexico.
Well, yes, I've done it. I've done it high. Yes, I have. I haven't done it on shrooms. I haven't used shrooms in a very long time, but that would be interesting. So yeah.
I've never tried it.
No, but good idea.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.